I think we're ready to just start. I think we're, oh, camera, where are you going? Hey, camera, where, what? Camera, what? Do I just need to, this is fine. This is fine. I keep bumping my camera throughout the day and then not knowing it until I have started streaming. And then, there, that looks fine. That's fine. Hi friends, how's it going? Sorry we're starting a little late. I think Lee's gonna be fine. I'm sure he's gonna be fine. I wouldn't actually worry about it. Lee is gonna be just fine. Yeah. Hi, hello, welcome. We're gonna do more Walking Dead today. It's true. You're on a roll today, Travis. It's a good one. But yeah, more Walking Dead. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna try and get the second episode done. I was hoping to try and get like 2 episodes done today, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But that's okay. This episode's gonna be wild, from what I remember, and I'm very excited about it. So yeah, I think we just wanna start, do the thing. Reminder, I think everyone has responded so far, but we do have a poll in the server about what game we're gonna play. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Looks like Alien is still winning out, despite there not being any mods. So that's great. Hi, Cookie. Hi, Bono. Hi, friends. Don't tie it. Fruity, please don't tie it. Fruity, whatever you do, don't tie it. Please. Please. Yeah, hi, friends. Welcome in. We're gonna do some Walking Dead. It's gonna be great and spooky. It's gonna be great. That's it. That's what I got. I do have this. Are you ready? Rip it and rip it. Wasn't nearly as crisp as it usually is, but that's okay. Right? The internet. Oh, bye, camera. The internet's just ruining all of the good things. Is that better? I think I like that better. Hi, Num. I mean, you can try, Fruity. You can try. But it's just not gonna go well. Don't do it. Don't tie the vote. Don't do it. Oh, fuck. I forgot to start my captions again. This is terrible. Hi. I'm doing it very bad today, as we can tell. Are you excited for me to continue to do it bad? I'm excited for me to continue to do it bad. Hey, where is chat? Why is chat not here? Hey. There it is. There it is. And then this should be up and running. There we go. Perfect. Everything is great. You voted for aliens? You voted for aliens? Okay. Okay. No, I'm just excited for whatever we end up doing. Proud of you, Bono. I know that can be really hard to take care of sometimes. So I'm glad you got it done. I'm glad you found the energy to do it. Good. Remember to take care of your dang self. Let me just make sure that I'm, like, caught up on chat, and I think I am. Great. So we finished episode 1 last time. We met Clementine. She's perfect. Kenny's pretty alright. Lily, not so great. Larry, definitely not great. We killed Carly. We got Doug. Our sweet nerd boy. What else? That's about it. We said shit in front of Clem. And that was kind of funny. So yeah. That looks really quiet.
I know who you are.
Never mind.
I got another good one for you.
ACAB. I like that the car crash is still incredibly loud.
Through this?
Yeah, I want my parents to come home now.
And you keep an eye on that front door.
Clementine.
You're our lookout.
It's Doug. You got it.
And I'm Carly.
Okay, Carly, you'll shift in with Doug.
You got it,
We
boss.
know this. The way it cut past his dialogue.
Bitch, one of them is bitten.
Larry.
Kick his ass.
That's what I'm thinking.
I like that it's highlighting all my terrible choices.
And
Don't
I
worry
don't
about
give
it,
a
Doug.
shit about what happens to you. But if anything happens to my daughter or that little girl you've got with you, you watch your ass.
Sir, Larry, sir, listen. He's gonna be in so much danger with me around. Hi, TK. It's not intentionally a bad choices run. I think I'm just responding the way that I think I would respond actually. It's whatever comes to mind, basically, and a lot of times it is bad choices. But, yeah. How's it going, friend? How are you doing?
Damn it.
I
What'd
keep
they get
looking
this
in the
time?
wrong place for my camera.
Looks like a rabbit.
Because it's not where I'm used to it being.
Well, that's another meal lost.
It's fine. Just know that
I
that's
still can't believe
going
we
to
went through
happen a
all
lot.
that commissary food in 3 months. It seemed like so much at the time.
Maybe you shouldn't have opened the door.
Yeah, except then I'd probably be food by now. Trust me, I have no
Who's this guy?
Rabbit's hardly a meal, Mark, but
Mark.
I'd take it.
This is
We're all
Mark.
hungry.
No kidding.
Oh no! Try to get some rest. Do what you can to take
Last
care of
night I heard your
yourself.
friend Doug laying in bed just naming types of pie. It was driving me nuts. I think he's starting to lose it.
He's not the
I
only
vaguely remember Mark like
Why don't you
showing
cut
up
him some
and
slack?
me and everyone I talked to
Yeah,
about it just being like,
you're
"Who
right.
the fuck is this
I wish
dude?"
I knew for sure how much food we had left.
We'll manage.
Maybe. You know, some people aren't too happy about the way Lily's handling rations.
Yeah, well,
It's important to keep the adults fed and functioning. Sometimes that means someone's got to miss a meal.
You think Kenny's having any more luck than we are out here?
no.
I sure hope so.
Yeah, between the lack of food and Kenny and
I
me
love
fighting all
Kenny,
the time,
but
things are getting pretty tense back at the motor inn. You know, Kenny's been talking about taking off if he can get that RV running.
it's like he wishes he was as cool
It's got a lot of
as
himself to look out for.
as
And
Joseph.
they're safest in a big group. Going out on his own will get them all killed. Can't blame him, though. Did you hear Larry going off on him last night?
It's our
What's the
good
old
friend
guy's
Mark, who's
deal,
always
anyway?
been here, who you
Seems like
clearly
he's got a
know.
problem with you in particular.
Yeah, well, Larry's a piece of shit. Facts. He's
just
a
an old
racist old
asshole.
asshole.
I say it to you.
Well, he needs to get over that and start finding a way to pull his weight.
Honestly.
Our problems or not, we should all be out here trying to find food. And I know
Facts,
Lily thinks he's
though.
getting weaker, but the guy's all muscle.
though.
He's a walking pile driver. I know I wouldn't want to be stuck in a room with him. And didn't he punch you in the face one time?
Knock me flat. I'll
never forget that. Lee will remember this. Bird.
Don't. Gunshot'll bring walkers. One bird's not worth it.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I'm
you're
just
gonna do what you
really
want to do,
frickin'
Bono.
hungry.
So probably.
Shit,
Excuse.
was that Kenny?
I don't know. Come on.
Oh, I remember this. That's between you and Fruity. I feel like the music is really quiet now. Also, Mark's jacket saying fight or flight. Get out of here. These freaking nerds.
Jesus Christ.
It's fine.
Shit! No, no! Please don't kill us! We just want to help our
Ben
teacher. We'll
fucking
leave, I swear.
Paul.
You guys okay?
Get it off!
There
Get
are
it
too
off,
many
God
listeners
damn
in
it,
Fruity's
get it
computer
off,
already.
Travis, maybe they can help.
These might be the same guys that raided our camp, and we barely got away from that.
What guys?
Why the fuck is there a bear trap out here?
It's okay. We're not gonna hurt you.
Don't listen to them, Ben.
They're just gonna
Please, just let us go. We're not
throw
a
us
threat
into
to you.
the
Kid,
into the
chill out.
action, aren't
We'll
they?
try to help you, but you gotta shut the fuck up.
Lee, this is fucked up. We've gotta help him. Please.
Ben, shut up. My dad was special forces. I know what I'm doing.
Just see if you can get him out.
What a
After that, you
nerd.
can leave us or whatever. I don't care.
What is
Please.
this? Why are they all so jerky?
We gotta get him out of there.
We'll help. I
Oh
guess
God,
we'll help.
thank you.
Fine, but you gotta hurry.
Hurry, please, hurry.
Okay, stop yelling. Stop yelling. You need to stop
Lee,
yelling.
the strap's been
You
altered.
need.
There's no release latch.
My dad said.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is what happens when you sit in the middle of the forest and yell.
Walkers.
I
Now or
mean,
never, Lee.
not whisper.
Get me out of this.
Okay, hold on. Let me get that timer going. Terrible, rude, incredibly rude. All right, whisper Keisha's go for 5 minutes. Hope you're ready. Hope you're ready.
Mark, get the boys back.
I wasn't attracting
Kenny,
zombies.
keep
They
those walkers off of me.
were. Listen.
Why is this happening to us?
No, let's just go for the leg. Sorry, bud.
Hey, do something!
Okay.
To cut you out.
No, no, no! Try the trap again! Anything, please! Try to cut the chain!
I can't. There's only
Let's go, let's go!
I'm so sorry, mine too. I'm not that sorry. I'm not that sorry at all, actually. Oh?
Oh god!
Shit. Is he?
He passed out.
Maybe we just leave him here.
If he's alive, grab him and let's go.
What the fuck did you just fucking say about me, you little bitch? I'll have you know I graduated top of my class in the Navy SEALs, and I've been involved in numerous secret raids on Al-Qaeda, and I have over 300 confirmed kills.
Come on, we gotta
What is
move.
this from? Allie, what is that from? Oh. 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 I could do Ben Paul's neck. Is it? I can't say I've ever come across it before. That's 100% what that nerd who just died was getting at, though. Is this whispery enough for everyone? Oh god.
I am trained in guerrilla warfare and I'm the top sniper in the entire US Armed Forces. You are nothing to me but just another target. I will wipe you the fuck out with precision the likes of which has never been seen before on this earth. Mark my fucking words.
Even knowing that it's a copy pasta, it scares me that it's coming from Allie. Right? Also hearing Kimberhold just straight up threaten me. Oh my god. Kimberhold, please.
You think you can get away with saying that shit to me over the internet? Think again, fucker. As we speak I am contacting my secret network of spies across the USA and your IP is being traced right now, so you better prepare for the storm, maggot. The storm that wipes out the pathetic little thing you call your life.
Don't have time to explain.
You're fucking dead, kid. I can be anywhere, anytime, and I can kill you in over 700 ways, and that's just with my bare hands.
What the hell? You can't just be bringing new
Think
people
again,
here. What are you thinking?
fucker.
You want to calm down for a fucking minute?
No, I don't. I want to know why you thought bringing more mouths to feed was a good idea.
Oh
We left
god.
the other one behind.
Other one? Jesus, Lee. What if there are more of them? What if they followed you
Lily,
here?
There wasn't anybody
stop
else,
yelling.
just us.
How do you know he's not lying?
This is
Come on,
horrible.
Lily. These are people. People trying to
There's
survive
so
just
much
like
happening
us.
right
We've
now.
got to stick together to survive.
The only reason you're here is because you had food. Enough for all of us. But that food is almost gone. We've got maybe a week's worth left. And I don't suppose you guys are carrying any groceries, are you?
Thank you,
Fine,
Allie,
you guys
for the
fight it out
bits.
then.
I
Welcome to the
appreciate
family,
it.
kid.
Come over here and see what I drew.
What? No,
Just come on, okay?
You know, you like to think you're the leader of this
Clementine
little group,
recognizes
but we can
the
make our own
child.
goddamn decisions.
Oh, no.
This isn't your own personal dictatorship.
Not only am I extensively trained in
Okay.
unarmed
I didn't
combat,
ask to lead
but I
this
have
group.
access to the entire
Everyone was
arsenal
happy
of the
to have
United States
distributing
Marine
food when
Corps,
there was
and I will
enough to
use
go
it to its
around.
full
Now
extent
that
to
it's
wipe your
running out,
miserable ass off
suddenly
the
I'm a
face of the
goddamn
continent.
Nazi.
You
It
little
doesn't matter
shit.
who's in charge.
If only you could have
People are
known what
here now.
unholy retribution
just
your
have to
little
decide
clever
what happens
Comet
next.
was
Lee,
about
it
to
does
bring down
matter.
upon you.
One
Maybe you
person
would have
can't
held
be
your
in charge
fucking
of
tongue.
everything. You know, it might feel safe for you to sit on the
There's so
fence.
much
but sooner or
happening
later,
right
you're
now.
gonna have to decide whose side you're on.
I don't know what I have
I
chosen.
don't see any of you stepping up to make the hard
Allie
decisions.
slash
My girl's
Kimberhold
got
is
more
yelling
balls
at
than all of
me.
you combined.
Dad, please. Why don't you go help
Oh
Mark
my
with
god.
the wall?
Oh,
You think this is easy for
okay,
me?
good. I can
Everyone's
talk normal
starting to hate
again.
me because I'm the one that rations the food, but nobody else wants to. You know what? I'm not doing it tonight. You do
Okay,
it.
Lily.
There's today's food rations, but there's not enough for everyone. Good luck.
Whisper was redeemed, and I did it. I did it so good. Listen. I was whispering. Oh no. Allie, why?
But you couldn't, you didn't, and now you're paying the price, you goddamn idiot. I will shit fury all over you and you will drown in it. You're fucking dead, kiddo.
Kiddo. I do love the pauses that Kayshurrr does. They're extremely dramatic. Right? No fury shit. I don't want to drown in that. Hi, Clem. Do you want an apple?
Okay.
Where's your hat?
I don't know. Can you help me find it?
Yes, of course.
Sure. When did you lose it?
I had it a couple days ago.
I promise.
Think again,
If I find it,
fucker.
I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Okay, Clem. I've got to take care of some things. Why don't you go back to playing with Duck for a while?
We're gonna give
Okay.
Clem the apple. Clem deserves a nice little apple. Do you want an apple, Clem? Do you want an apple, Clem? Come on.
Here, Clem. You need something to eat.
Give half an apple. Give half an
I
apple.
love apples. Thank you. Are there more?
No, honey. That was a
I
nice one.
love apples.
Enjoy it. You deserve it.
Alright, Duck can fucking starve. Ugh. Kenny.
Want something to eat?
Whoa! Where are you going, Lee? Here, you can have a
Kenny,
piece of jerky.
Take this.
I will
How
give
about my
Duck
boy?
bees.
He eat yet?
No.
Come talk to me once my boy's taken care of.
Okay, well, no one in Kenny's family gets to eat then. Hey, Lily.
Bees?
You want some bees?
Here.
Bees. Here, you can have the jerky that Kenny didn't want.
I don't want anything from you.
Fine, don't eat it then.
Fine.
Jesus Christ. Gotcha. Do you want some
Here.
jerky?
Eat something.
Why don't you give it to Doc? I'm a little busy
Oh
with a
my
mess right now.
Is he gonna be okay?
I don't know. Can you give me a hand real quick?
I thought
Sure. What do you need?
Just apply some pressure here when I try to close this up. You know, I thought I was starting to get used to this, sewing up people's injuries.
Right? Guess they all
But I
hate
mean,
food.
cuts and bruises are one thing.
I'm not giving Duck
This
any
man
food.
has no leg.
That's what
It's
your husband wanted.
husband wanted.
Figures. I love that man to death, but
Don't
I
you
swear
want to become a
sometimes
cult
he's dumber
leader?
than a bag of hammers. Well,
Since the death of
you've
God,
done all
there's
you
been a
can.
vacancy
Thanks
open.
for the help.
You could fill that
Go ahead
void.
and check in on the others. I need a little space here anyway.
I don't want to fatten Duck up. Because Duck doesn't deserve it. But Doug?
Hey, Doug.
What's up, Lee?
Don't suppose I could interest you in some food.
His face! Doug says, food? Yes, please. Here, you can have the jerky.
Actually, why don't you keep my share today? I know I said it didn't matter why you saved me and not Carly, but I owe you a lot more than half a day's rations.
Doug!
Hey, if Doughboy doesn't want his food, hand it this way.
No,
Doesn't
fuck
work like
you.
that. I'll decide who gets the food.
Well, decide smart. You don't really
Food,
want to piss me off, do
please.
you?
Food, please. Doug, I want to...
Hey, Doug.
Why does no one want the fucking food? Oh my god. What are you working on, buddy?
Doug?
I've worked up a little warning system for outside.
How does it work?
How does it work?
Tell him. I mean, I
set up
know
trip
how it
lines
works,
at 4
but...
locations, and each one triggers one of these 4 bells. So
we'll know where they are and how long we have. Smart.
I might just give more food to Clem.
Think Katya can save that guy?
Honestly.
Maybe. I mean, I know about computers, but that doesn't mean I can fix a calculator.
But you probably could fix a calculator.
Well, yeah. Good point.
Take it easy, Doug.
Like, at least Doug has a reason to, like, not accept the food that I'm giving him. I mean, he should still eat the food that I'm giving him, but it's like...
Will you hold the damn board steady?
Oh my god.
I'm trying. I didn't realize I was getting this weak already.
What do you want? A handout? Oh, I got 60 cents in my pocket. If you'll shut up and quit being such a pansy.
Oh my god, this fucking guy.
At least the kids have something to keep them occupied.
Consider giving it to Mark. Wait, I can't give it to Clem anymore. Ugh. Maybe we do give it to Duck.
How
doing
you doing,
okay?
Clementine? Everything all right?
Yeah. Is that man going to be okay?
No.
It doesn't look good, Clementine. It doesn't look good.
Oh, okay.
Clementine. Who else do we have around here? Ben gets nothing because we hate Ben. I'm gonna give Mark food just to piss off Larry.
Here, eat something.
You want this jerky? No one wants this jerky.
Thanks, Lee.
Need any help with the wall?
Nope.
Actually, we could use your axe. Do you mind if we take it?
Yeah, give us that.
We like Kenny at the moment. Here, Mark.
Here, Mark, this should help.
Thanks.
Hey, I'm the one doing all the work over here. You didn't think to give me the axe?
Come on, Larry. Give it a rest, man. Things are different. Being a racist is outdated.
Yeah, you tell him, Mark.
And that's what you think this is?
Yes.
Is that what you
facial
told me?
expressions. Yeah, that's right.
And what are you gonna do about it?
Look, I don't care what it is, but you two have got to start trying to get along.
The
No.
only thing I have to do is protect my daughter.
This
And right
fucking
now,
guy.
That means getting this damn wall fixed. So I would appreciate it if you two would shut up and let me get back to work.
Larry. Larry. Listen. Different Kenny. Good job, Lily.
What's
This
that
is-
for?
Oh, that was my first attempt at making an alarm system. The new version is much more sophisticated.
Okay. That's fine. I guess Duck can have some food.
Hey, Doc. How about a little food?
Head empty. This fucking kid.
Here.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so hungry.
I'm gonna keep this for myself. Nobody else wanted their food.
I need
Yeah,
to keep my
it's mine.
strength up, too.
It's mine. It's mine. This is my food. Fuck everyone else.
Not such an easy job, is it?
Never
It's
said
pretty
it
fucking
was.
easy, except for everyone saying they don't want the goddamn food.
I don't envy you. I don't know how you have the strength
Lee,
to do this
no,
every day.
stop.
I
No,
don't
stop.
have a choice.
Lee,
Kenny, I know I ran out of food before.
hey, it was a tough choice, but you took care of the kids. That's what a real man does.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny.
Still, I guess some people aren't going to be happy with your choices.
Well,
You're out. What happened to my food?
There's none left.
You keep treating people like this, and your days in this group are numbered.
You're one to talk, old man.
honestly.
Yeah, well, I don't see you working on that wall.
Oh.
Ken, Lee, come here, please.
Oh my god, I have a funny
didn't
story
make
about
it,
this
did
bit
he?
coming up.
He lost too much blood.
God damn it. I'm getting sick of this shit.
Ken, come back. There's nothing.
Please.
Let him go, Katja.
But
He just needs time. It's been a rough morning.
that man you brought, I tried, but he was never going to survive.
Well, at least he's not our problem anymore.
What about the other kid?
Just kick him out. So I played this before, right? This whole scene glitched for me the first time I played through. I don't know what I'm doing.
Move!
Get him!
Shit, it's stuck!
Mark, you idiot!
I got him!
Oh my god, you guys, please. Please. Oh, you want me to crawl? Okay. Yeah, giving Mark the jerky was not a good option.
Push it off! I don't want to hit you!
My thumbs! Do you remember that? I mean, I think I have it saved on my PlayStation.
Thanks.
No
I
problem.
might see if I can like
We gotta watch each other's
share
backs,
that
right?
because it was very good. That whole scene was fucked.
Why'd
Like
you bring him here in
Lee
the first place, asshole?
was floating
calm
through
down.
You're
the
gonna
trunk.
get us all killed.
Why
It was
didn't you
bad.
tell us he was bitten? What? He was bitten, and you didn't say a goddamn word!
But he wasn't bitten, I swear!
Well, you're not bitten friend
need
here
more
came
friends who
back to
eat food
life
in our
and tried
trash,
to
it's
kill
true.
my wife!
What? Wait, you all don't know?
What the hell are you talking about?
It's not the bite that does it. You come back no matter how you die. If you don't destroy the brain, that's just what happens. It's gonna happen
And this
to all
is
of us.
this is the only useful piece of information that Ben brings.
God help us.
It makes sense.
All right,
Those first few days, it spread so fast.
now get out of here, Ben.
Car accidents.
We don't need you anymore.
suicides. Everything was making more of them.
When I first saw it happen, we were all hiding out in a gym and everybody thought we were finally safe. But one of the girls, Jenny Pitcher, I think, I guess she couldn't take it. She took some pills. A lot of them. Someone went in the girls' room the next morning and... God.
Yeah, okay, Ben. the man just tripped!
Doug, it works.
I do remember the brain death meme from The Walking Dead.
Where'd this string come from?
Watch where you're walking, man.
Who are those people?
So bad.
I don't know.
Are they the people that raided your camp?
I don't think so. But they all had their faces covered, so I don't know.
Yeah, get in there,
Just tell
Kenny.
them we need to make a stand.
No, we have a routine. We don't confront them if we don't have to.
You all right?
Yeah, just getting untangled.
I don't know how you're still alive, man.
Sorry, Lily. We gotta do this.
No, Kenny!
That's far enough.
Oh, shit. Okay. No problem.
We don't want any trouble.
Of course, neither do we. I'm Andy St. John. This here's my brother Dan. We're just out looking for gasoline. Looks
Get
like
your
you
gas and
folks
go.
got the motel locked down, which is fine, but if you could spare any gas, well, we'd be much obliged.
What do you need gas for?
Our place is protected by an electric fence. Generators provide the electricity.
Our generators run on gas. Look, we own a dairy farm a few miles up the road. If y'all be willing to lower your guns, we can talk about some kind of trade.
No.
How y'all doing on food? We got plenty at the dairy.
Don't do it. It's a tarp.
Lee, why don't you and Mark check the place out? See if it's legit.
Lily!
I'll go too. Improve the numbers in case we run into anything dead.
So, what are y'all thinking?
I kind of want to just say no. Can you just say no? I want to know what happens if you say
think
no.
We'll stay here. We're starting to develop a good vibe here at the motel.
Good vibe?
Well, Christ, Daddy-o, I'm sorry the folks with the food supply and defenses didn't tickle your pretty pink ass.
Oh my god, this man.
We need to think like a group, Lee. This affects everyone.
Then we vote. If everyone agrees, then we'll send you guys with some gas to check the place out.
And if we don't?
Then we'll stay in this wretched roach motel with your recreational paperweight over there.
Maybe
Plus, we're
Larry
still
will go
close
with
to
him.
Macon, where
Go
we
on,
have
Larry, get
access
out
to
of
the
here.
Pharmacy for Dad. Kenny, Katja,
We go.
Dad,
You bet you, pumpkin.
Doug.
I say we do it.
I'm in. If they're offering food, we gotta at least...
I don't want to go. I was also just curious as to what would happen if I said no.
Clementine, what do you think?
Lee, I'm very hungry.
All right. Looks like we're going to a date.
I like how my
Miss
choice
Derek,
really just didn't
you
do
guys really have
anything.
food? Sure do. We lost most of the cattle, but we still have lots of milk, butter, and cheese stocked up.
And with the vegetables we grow, we got plenty of food.
Thanks for coming along, Doug.
Doug!
I'd like to get a look at that electric fence they talked about. It might give me some ideas for something I can rig up at the motor inn.
Can an
I'm just glad we can hang out with
electric
Doug.
fence stop walkers?
Well, as long as the walkers aren't completely dehydrated and the fence has enough juice, yeah, it seems plausible. The electricity basically cooks you from the inside out, right?
I guess so.
So, if a walker stays in contact with the fence, it'll eventually cook its brain. Probably takes a while, though. And
There's
that
your-
can't
there's
be a good
your
smell.
zombie
Unless it smells
science.
like jerky. Man, I could go for some jerky. Ugh, I shouldn't have turned down that food you offered me earlier.
That is one runaway train of thought.
Sorry.
I still have crackers in my pockets. We could
What's that you
share.
got there?
Oh, nothing. It's just a laser pointer I picked up during our last trip to the drugstore.
I mean, thank God Lee showed up when he did. Right, Lee?
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little more about yourself, Lee?
Where are you from?
I'm just not gonna talk to
Something
them.
tells me you're a local boy. You can always just kind of tell, you know? Y'all seem pretty settled in at that motor inn. Who's
Jeez,
running
zombie
things over there?
cows. Not zombie cows.
We work as a group. All of us looking out for each other.
I hear that. There's so many dumbasses out there fighting each other these days. It's just stupid.
How many people you got over there anyway?
No, no.
Well, the kid here's our newest arrival, but we're all looking forward to some food. We really need it.
Well, here's to helping each other out.
We're just not gonna
we'd love
give
to
them
get you
any
all out to the
information.
dairy. Like I said, we got plenty of food. And
No one's
quite frankly,
business.
we could always use an extra helping hand.
In the summers,
None.
I used to help out on a goat farm.
Yeah, that's great. Everything helps.
Yeah,
Mama's
that's
been
great.
running the
Shut
dairy
up,
for,
Ben.
Well, as long as I can remember, but now it's.
You think you're gonna cut me out of this?
Shit, get down.
Oh.
No one's trying to cut you out of anything.
Gary, you're always pulling.
Ellie.
Who?
Those look like the people who raided my camp.
Who are they?
Fuck you. You knew you were hungry, and you guys were keeping it all for yourself.
This is why you would. This is why you stay with
What are you gonna
me and
fucking do
Emmy.
about it?
We'll keep
Don't
you.
worry, Danny and I got you
I can't say
covered.
honest, but
Let's just wait
safe.
this out and hope they move on.
less trusting.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
That's fair. Also, yeah, Jesus.
The world out here has gone to shit. Come on, let's get to the dairy where it's safe.
Okay. Why not, Fruity? I'm a good bean.
Here to
Wow.
St. John
wow.
Family
All right, I see how it is. It's your loss,
Dairy. Y'all can see how we kept this place so safe.
right?
The fence keeps them out.
Wow.
You betcha. They fry like bugs in a zapper. We're pushing 4,000 volts through that thing with
You tell
generators
'em,
and
Emmy.
amps.
Oh, wow. You guys must know a thing or two about running wire.
Had a guy who did, yeah.
Mama.
We've got kids in our group. Doesn't seem safe to have them near a lethal fence.
Oh, don't worry about that. We got plenty to keep them entertained.
Oh, wow. You've got enough electricity to run the whole place.
It's worth protecting. Hence all the juice.
I thought I saw y'all with
And
company
that's a
coming down the
wrong
drive.
fact.
This is our mama.
I'm Brenda St. John, and welcome to the St. John Dairy.
This here's Lee. He, you never did say where you're from.
You were
Yeah,
right.
it's fine.
I'm a local boy.
They got
No,
a few
Lee.
more friends staying at the old
Don't
motel.
tell them anything.
goodness,
Never
that
tell
place is
them
pretty
anything.
Don't you
want to become a cult
Got
leader?
someone with survival experience
Since the
to
death of
lead you
God,
through?
there's been a vacancy open. You could fill that void.
We all work together. Plus, we've got plenty of people with military experience.
Well, that's good to hear.
I'm just gonna
that
keep,
motel
like...
ain't the safest place. Now
It's
that y'all are here,
fine,
we'll make sure you're
actually.
safe and comfortable.
Thanks for having us. We brought some gasoline
I
on
hate
good
this.
faith.
We're starved.
These are for y'all. Baked fresh this morning.
Holy moly!
Fruity, I only do that in video games. Don't worry. Doug.
Sorry.
Can't get stuff like that anymore.
Right?
Not without
Emmy
a cow
knows.
for milk and butter, that's for sure.
That's right. Hopefully Maybelle will make it through this bout of whatever she's got and be with us for a good long while.
Your cow is sick? What's she?
We have a vet. We could bring her here. We can help you
Mark,
folks out.
shut up!
A vet? Oh my!
It is
Our
true.
prayers
Emmy
have
is
been
living
answered.
proof.
Maybe our whole group could come. For the day.
Well, how about this? Y'all go get your veterinary
Only
friend
in
and I'll
video
prepare some
games.
dinner.
Never
A
in
big
real
feast for all
life.
you hungry souls. It'll be nice.
I've
to
known
have some
Emmy
folks to
for
help out around here again. Danny,
12
why don't you
years.
come help me out in the kitchen?
13 years?
Why don't I head back with the food and round up everyone for the trip back here?
Might want to take someone with you. Remember,
Too long.
those roads can be dangerous.
Over a decade.
No problem. Ben can come with me.
I haven't team killed Emmy.
All right. See you later.
Right?
Mark, Lee, why don't you take a look around?
Perfect.
Once you get settled in, I
Perfect.
could use some help securing the perimeter.
Is there a problem?
Sometimes the dead get tangled up in the fence before they fry and end up knocking over a post.
I'm
It'd be a
incredibly
big help
trustworthy.
if you could walk the perimeter. You can learn a little something about our fence.
Incredibly
I'm gonna go top off the
trustworthy.
generators before they run dry. Come get me when you're ready.
You betcha. This place is
Oh,
incredible.
you betcha.
It's got food. And that fence? Oh man, that fence. If we play our cards right, this might turn out to be a place
Yeah,
we
okay,
can stay.
Fruity.
So how do you
Yeah,
want to play
okay.
this?
Whatever you say.
Before
Let's
we
make sure
can
the place
think
is
about
safe.
bringing our whole group here to stay, we need to figure out if this place is as
We
safe as
gotta
it
do
tours.
some stuff.
Right. Obviously, they think it's safe. But is it safe enough for the kids? There's a broken swing over there. Not a big deal, but maybe there's other things not working that we just can't see yet.
And checking the fence perimeter sounds like a decent way to get a good look at their defenses.
All right. I'll keep my eyes open, and you find out what you can from Andy.
Alright, let's do this. It's go time. What's this? Oh, it's a swing. Okay, I see. I understand. I understand what I'm looking at. Lee, I swear you could walk slower, but...
Too bad it's broken. I'll bet Clementine and Duck would have loved something like this to play on.
Kids used to like that old swing even more than the tour sometimes.
I'll bet. Mind if I fix it?
Sure, that'd be great. Mama sure does appreciate y'all helping out.
Looks like it just needs a new board for the seat and some rope. Make it safe for Clem and Duck. And let the St. John's know we can pull our weight around here.
Can I fix this? Is this a thing I can do? I don't wanna. Also, where did man go? This is our farm now. This is our ranch now.
Pointy.
Oh my god, can I actually?
But if I can find something to cut it down to size, this might make a good seat for the swing.
Can I actually fix the swing?
Mind if I use one of these boards?
Already making some repairs, huh? I like a guy who takes some initiative. Yeah, go right ahead.
Lee!
fence around the entire property, not
Touch
just
it.
the house.
Touch it. Touch it.
Yep, can't take any chances when it comes to safety.
I just don't trust anyone in zombie apocalypses, honestly. There's just an innate distrust, especially for somebody who has their shit together this soon into the apocalypse.
Hey,
seems
don't
kind of
mess with that,
sketchy.
okay? The thing's a little tricky, and I don't want to spend half a day trying to fix it.
Maybe it's just the southern accent that's making me a little nervous. But
You can definitely tell they built this thing themselves.
I don't know.
They're storing gasoline all over the property.
Mark?
So what have you found out? Is this looking like a good place to stay?
The generator might be a problem. Andy said it's tricky and repairing it takes him a while. Still, it's a hell of a lot more secure than the motorway. The fence is no joke, at least around the house. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it. I'll keep looking around.
All right.
It's the accent.
Wonder how
Look
much
at
food
this.
they've got in there. Hopefully we'll find out.
Perfect. Okay, let's do the board. Fix board?
The board is good, but I need some rope.
Where am I supposed to get that from? Lee, listen. Where? Rope where? What? Oh, no, that's for the... Okay. Nope! Lee! Okay. Can I talk to man? Man! What have you to say?
Hi.
Ha! Oh, he
I'm
said
glad
hi.
You guys decided to help us out. I noticed back in the motel that you folks are pretty well armed. Been stockpiling, huh?
We've scraped together a good supply in the last few months. How about yourself?
Hi, Freya.
What kind of protection do you have around
How's it going?
We collected a few guns to protect
Pronoun
ourselves, but
redemption.
we really only
If
use
you're
them when we go
comfortable
off the
and
property.
want to share your
When we're
pronouns in
inside the
chat,
perimeter,
feel
the
free to
fence is
do
all we
so.
need to keep
I
us
use
safe.
she, her pronouns. Frey uses they, she. Allie uses she, her. Emmy uses she, they. Ayy. Bono uses they, them. Verdi uses any. Hello, David. David uses he, they.
We can't
How's
be
it
the
going?
first
How are you
people
doing?
invited up to the dairy.
Well, no, we've made similar deals with other folks, trading for gas and food, but ultimately they moved on, looking for the people they lost contact with.
David is alive. This is great.
An electric fence is enough to keep out walkers?
Walkers? Is that what you
Sketchy
call them?
uses he,
That's
him?
Good. The old one wouldn't have, but Mac, he was our foreman. He figured out how to amp it up with the generators. We used to sit out here some nights and watch the sons of bitches sizzle and pop when they got too close.
That's
Closest thing to entertainment these days, I guess.
That's a
These
horrible.
generators are enough to power the whole dairy?
That's a
We got
terrible
lots. and
form of
gotta keep trading
entertainment.
for fuel as much as we can, but they all work together.
I hope
to
work
do
goes
the
well
trick.
for ya.
Like us.
It's good to see ya.
Mark
Yeah,
and I
let's
can
go
help
fix the
you with that
perimeter, I guess.
Oh, good. The fence will stop a walker in about 3 or 4 seconds, but gets overloaded if we leave the husks out there.
You know, Mark and I can clear the fence ourselves if you want to stay here and finish up with the generators.
Well, that'd be great. I'll turn off the northwest section, and if you guys could strip them off and look for any weak points,
Not
that'd be a big
bacon
help.
zombies.
Sounds easy enough.
Stay attentive. You never know.
Alright, let's go. Clear that fence. Find some rope. Fix the swing. Those are my priorities right now, is fixing a swing. There's a zombie apocalypse
how's the
going
place
on. I'm
looking?
trying to see if this
Is it
place
safe
is,
enough for us to
is
stay?
safe.
If we
Trying to
can?
fix a swing.
It's pretty amazing what they've done with this dairy.
I mean, stealing the
Let's see
farm
what
is
it takes
definitely
to
on the
secure this
list.
fence
That's
before
the
drawing
that's the
any
overall
conclusions.
I can't
goal.
wait until everyone's out here. Everyone besides Larry.
Why the hell did you have to tell him I thought he was a racist? As if tensions weren't high enough.
Sorry, man. It popped out. I mean, you did admit it right to his face.
I mean, yeah, but
That guy's a piece
I
of
can
shit.
do a hydrate, thank you,
Relax.
and a stretch.
You're not making things any better riling him up.
Reminder for everyone else to also hydrate and stretch.
Ugh.
Thank you for Freya for the redemption.
Lee, it's dead.
Come on, let's push it off.
Okay, but what if we don't? What's this?
Andy said when this fence is working, the walkers go up like a tree branch on a power
It's
line.
true.
If those lights are out, that means the fence
He thinks
is
we're
off,
making
right?
it for the kids. I'm definitely doing it for myself.
Who do you think he was?
Wait.
It doesn't matter.
I wanted to look at the arrow.
Maybe the St. John boys are using this guy for target practice?
Poor guy.
You
I
can
don't know
stretch
what
in
got
your
him first,
chair.
the arrow or the fence. Either way, hope he was already dead.
But I get it. Why are you not?
Disgusting.
Disgusting. Wow, what hard work.
Come on. I'm sure there's still a few more.
Yeah, okay.
Once this fence is patched up, this place will be a fortress. God, can you imagine not having to worry about the walkers anymore?
I mean, you're still gonna have to worry about the walkers.
It's
still...
True, but it's also dangerous to the walkers. So what's your take on the brothers? They
I
seem
wouldn't
to have this
necessarily
place
say
tied
that was
down pretty
ambivalence,
well.
but...
We've got enough people to take this place by force if we have to.
Sheesh, Lee. You sound like Kenny.
Go down to the Winchester for
There's
a pint and
another
wait for this whole thing to blow
I
over.
see it.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. This seems excessive.
You never get used to the smell, do you?
Nope.
Glad you hydrated.
Christ.
Good, good,
I can't
good.
stop thinking about dinner.
Mark,
Thanks for the
stop.
rations earlier. It's not easy eating in front of the kids, but it's all that's keeping me on my
Okay,
feet.
but I fed the kids, Mark.
Just try to focus on the task.
They knew what they were doing, teasing us with food and then giving us chores.
Having a good meal will be worth it.
Come on, I think I see where they're getting in. This one must have knocked it over trying to get through. He's tangled up in there pretty good. Come on, help me get this thing back in place so we can get Mr. Crispy off of here.
I think we'd get better leverage from the other side.
Good idea.
I think you could just untangle him from where you are. Why are we pushing it up first? Untangle him. Okay. This is fine, I guess. Enjoy your food.
Holy fuck! What just happened?
The fences are on.
Why the hell would he turn the fence on? He knows we're out here.
Oh! Right? That's what I'm saying, Emmy! It'd be so much easier to get the zombie out while it's still on the ground.
Jesus!
Hey, Mark, you got a little something in your arm.
What the fuck is that?
No idea.
Fuck. Now what?
With a fence on that gate, it's our only way out.
Where's our food, you asshole? Did you really think you could fuck with us? What about our arrangement? We had an agreement. Now you're
No fuel.
Okay. Okay, put it in neutral.
Give us the food.
We're not the St. John's.
Okay, listen. Oh, there it is.
Get closer.
Okay, now push it.
Come on out.
Why is it still stuck?
Asshole.
Ah, okay, it's fine.
If we can reach the gate, we can get through this fence and back to the house.
Ah!
Shit, that hurts.
The zombie apocalypse. Everyone's rude. This is why we don't trust people. Not the corpse.
What happened? Shit. It's one of
Use
the
your
dead we pushed down earlier.
fucking eyes, Mark. Oh, not crunchy. I don't want it to be crunchy anymore. too many corpses.
How many of those things did we push down?
3. We pushed 3 of them over. Mark. Technically only 2. We were working on the 3rd when these dudes showed up. That's my hand. Please don't eat my hand. There we go. It's fine. This is fine. Just yeet him over there.
Yeah, barely. Come on.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, fine. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Let's get out of here.
You would think that they would have like gotten real close to us by now. Don't leave the gate open, you goobs. Idiots. Absolute idiots. Horrible. Terrible. They've done it so bad.
Lee, what's wrong?
I thought this place was safe.
Holy shit!
We're gonna yell at them.
Fucking bandits. They have no right being out here.
Oh my lord! What happened to you, sweetheart?
He got
Those
shot!
bastards in the woods, Mama.
Yeah, I'll be alright once it's out, but god damn, it hurts.
Hey, y'all.
Mark,
Why did you all show up?
What happened?
He got shot with an arrow.
Christ, are you gonna be okay?
Yeah.
Oh my
I'm
god,
fine.
why is everyone here?
I should just pull it out.
Oh no, honey, come on. Brenda's got you. Come on inside now. We'll have you all sorted
Right?
out.
Always shut doors in zombie apocalypses. That includes gates.
We ran into some people on the way up here. Bandits, I guess. I think it was them that attacked us.
They gave us a lot of problems in the beginning. Killed a bunch of our farmhand. We were able to get them to stop by
I
making
wonder.
a deal.
You knew about these people?
Food for protection. Not like we had much of a choice, but they did stop hassling us.
Christ, maybe you were right about this place, Lee.
Yeah, maybe I was.
Maybe it isn't as safe here as we thought.
Look, we're sorry. We never had them screw with us like this. Not since we started giving them
It's food. Food for
Listen,
my
we may
family.
have had an agreement with those people, but we will not stand for this shit.
Ain't no way
Food
we're
for
gonna
my
let those
family.
sons of bitches get away with this.
You know where these assholes are?
They're hard to pin down, but I think I know where at least one of their camps are. When you're ready to go scope out that bandit camp, come find us.
Bandits? Are you serious? This place isn't safe. We can't stay here.
Not
You're right.
safe. This place is a hell of a lot safer than that motor inn. I
Ke-
think all of
Kenny.
us and our guns can handle a couple of punks with bows and arrows.
Kenny.
What we need to do is find a way to get our whole group out here to stay. Take this place over if we have to.
Whoa, cool your jets there, Rambo. These are nice people. Let's
No,
not
they're
do
not.
anything to get us thrown out
This.
before we eat.
This is why I don't
gonna
trust
head out
these
and help
people.
Dan deal with
Larry
these bandits.
trusts
You
them.
guys should try to make friends with Andy and Brenda while I'm gone.
Well, that's easy. I got charm coming out of my ass.
Yeah, that's real charming, Dad.
Where's Ben and Doc?
We do
Since
need to find
Doug
better
ate
friends.
half the biscuits on the way to get us, I had them stay back. I still don't think we should be trying to stay here, and someone's got to watch the motor inn until we get back.
It's true.
Hey, I remember seeing kids in your group, so I went ahead and fixed that swing while you were out. Hope
I
the
was
kids
gonna
like
fix
swings.
the swing!
I love swings, just like at my treehouse. Come on, Doc.
Why don't you kids go and play on the swing, huh?
Couldn't find the
Yeah.
rope.
Thanks.
Anytime. We're looking out for you.
No, you're not. They all came back because Doug went and told them that it was fine here. To which it's like, it's
I
not.
guess
And
Mark and I were
also,
lucky we weren't touching this thing when it
no. Also, no. We don't like it
came.
here.
That thing keeps a fence electrified.
I would like to leave. I would like to leave.
Pointy.
Pointy. I don't know. I would love it if they just left, though. Let's go bond with Clementine, though. It's been a minute. Duck, get the fuck down.
They look happy.
Clementine.
Hey, Clem, do you like the swing?
Yeah, it's fun.
Be sure to tell Andy thank you, okay?
I will.
Or don't.
Will
Or
you
don't.
push me on it?
Hell yeah!
Happy to push you on the swing. Mind if Clementine takes a turn?
All right, Duck. Let Clementine have a try for a bit.
Okay.
Get the fuck out of here, Duck. Oh my god, he looks so mad.
How you holding up, Clementine?
I'm okay, I guess.
A farm is a good place
Are
for a
you
zombie
okay?
apocalypse, just not
I'm
with
just a
people
little
that
worried
Larry
about
trusts.
Is Mark going to be okay?
You got lucky out there. Could have been a lot worse.
Are you going to find the people who
Again,
hurt
we can
Mark?
take it over.
And we have to make sure they don't hurt anyone else.
Be careful. I want you to stay lucky, too.
Ever since I met you, I've had good luck, so don't worry.
Okay.
What do you think of the dairy?
It's pretty. It reminds me of how things used to look before.
Yeah, it does.
Do you think things will ever get back to how they were?
I don't think
I mean,
so.
I'm gonna be straight up with Clem.
Lee,
Yeah?
I miss my family.
Oh.
I miss mine, too.
Oh.
All right, Clem, that's enough for now.
Okay, thanks for pushing me.
Of course.
Anytime,
It's all
Clem.
yours.
Yeah!
Okay, Duck. Don't pop a gasket.
Let's go here. There. You kind of want boring during a zombie apocalypse, though. Hear me out. You want it to be mellow and quiet.
If there's not enough room in the house for all of us, I guess a few of us could camp
It's
out
true.
here in shifts.
I mean, that's what Fruity does.
If there's not enough room in the house for
Okay,
all of
then
us, I guess
look,
a few
this
of
isn't us
could
looking
camp
at it.
out here in
This was me
shifts.
trying to open it. Whatever. It's fine. What are these hay bales? Let me look at these hay
Lots of
bales.
hay.
Could I have come over here the entire
Enough of
time?
these might work as adequate cover from arrows, if that becomes a problem.
Like, is this where the rope was hiding? This is tragic. I'll do what I can.
Looks like a feeding station for the cow.
Welcome in, Vinny. How are you doing? I don't want to talk to them because fuck those two. I do want to look at the gazebo, though. Actually, can I tell Larry, fuck you? Can I yell at Larry?
Wait,
Can only talk to Lily.
doesn't offer much in the way of protection, though.
Okay. I would argue that all of
Lee,
The
oh my
Walking
God,
Dead
I'm
was
so glad you
garbage.
two didn't get killed out there.
Personally,
Do you think Mark will be okay?
I didn't
Wish I knew,
finish.
but I
I
think he's in
didn't
good
finish
hands
watching it. I got through like
Yeah?
a majority
It's
of
not
season
too
1. I
bad?
was like, I
He'll
hate
be
this.
fine.
And
I've
then
seen
never
guys go
watched
through
it again.
worse.
How could you all bring us to this place?
I'm gonna
Okay,
go
we're
check
just not
things
gonna.
out.
Just don't get too nosy.
We're just not gonna do
These
this.
kinds of people are usually pretty protective of their privacy.
I could
Yeah,
deal with
and we don't
Lily
need
if
you
Larry wasn't
poking your
around,
nose
but they
where
are
it
kind
don't
of
belong
a
and
package
getting us
deal.
thrown out in our asses.
I just wasn't invested in it. Which is why, like, when this came out and I played it and I actually liked it, I was shocked. I was pretty certain that I was not going to like it. Maybe we eat Larry. Consider. Larry's kind of a big guy. He could feed everyone. Consider.
Fellas. how
Their
you
mouths were
feeling?
moving and they didn't say anything.
I'm really sorry you almost got killed out there. We should have told you how dangerous it was.
Yeah, you should
No
have.
shit.
You saw what they did to your buddy. Nobody's safe here until we start to fight back.
But how?
The two of us should go out and do some recon. Then we'll all mount up for some revenge.
Hell yeah.
Who the fuck are these people in the woods?
We don't
Lee,
know.
you're
I think some
incredibly
of them used to work at
angry.
the big box up the way.
I get it.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, they're nutty as all hell and get mad when they're hungry.
So are you ready to head out there and find their camp?
Mama.
Yeah, it'll be a good opportunity to find out a bit more about what we're up against. Let's do it.
I'll stay here and hold down the fort.
Let's
Remember,
go.
we're just doing reconnaissance for now. No use getting ourselves killed.
I love you, Clementine.
Are you going now?
Yeah, I'll be back soon, Clementine.
Please be lucky.
I will.
Lamia has decided to rest her head on my feet. Like a good sweet baby. Hi. Darling girl.
See anything? Not yet.
I know it's around here. It's gotta be close.
We're gonna drop Robin. It's gonna be great. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh shit, you found it?
But is there anyone here? I gotta scoot forward. Sorry.
You see anybody?
No.
Stay on your guard.
Watch my back, Lee.
Scared. I'm
gonna
scared.
Check out the tent.
What were those? There was like paper under those cans. Hmm. That is a child's sleeping bag.
Clear. This camp's too small. It can't be their main base.
That's what I was thinking.
Take a look around anyway. There's probably some shit around here they stole from us.
Yuck. I don't need that. Empty.
Look at those bottles.
But it looks like someone's been eating out of these recently.
Gasoline?
Nothing but fumes. Shit.
What's in here?
What's in the boxes?
They're all from save lots.
What's in the
For
box?
3 days they told folks to gather to the save lots by the interstate. Anything worth taking?
This is too much stuff for just one person.
Trust me, these selfish bastards don't stop taking. Probably just to remind us that it's theirs.
Boxes from the dairy here.
Probably the food we've been giving them. Fuckers cross the line.
Looks like they were moving a lot of stuff.
Concern. That looks hot.
Just water.
JK, not hot. What's this?
Nothing.
What's this?
Empty.
Okay. Whole lot of nothing. What's this? Take it.
What'd you find?
A video camera.
Med check.
Let me see that.
If you have medications and you need to take
Battery's
them,
dead,
take
though.
them.
Oh, good.
And if you took them already,
What else
I'm
they
proud
got
of
over
you.
here?
Good
Let's see
job.
if we can find anything useful and then get a move on.
I have taken my medications today.
I see you handled that gun I lent you pretty well. You a hunter?
No,
This
but Lily
man.
keeps us all on a regular training schedule.
Lily, huh? Sounds like she's running this democracy of yours.
This man. This seems not great. Good job.
Oh, man.
Anything else?
The hell?
Don't you fucking move.
Shit!
Put your guns down.
That's Clem's hat!
I ain't going back. You tell him Jolene ain't going back.
Hey, we had a deal. No shooting as long as we gave you food. What the fuck happened?
You had a deal with them. I ain't them. Oh, I know you. I know what you are. And I know what you do.
You don't know me.
Steal my shit. Steal everything from me.
Why are you alone up here? What happened to you?
Well, that's a hell of a question, mister. They told me I'd be safe with them. The men who lived here. But it weren't safe. Not for me. And not for my girl. They didn't treat her nice. Not at all. They took her away into the woods. Wouldn't tell me where. And I begged them every way I could think. They just laughed. So I killed them. And I'm staying here till she comes back to me. One way or another.
Ma'am.
Come back. Now maybe you didn't. When I asked you, sweet, put your damn guns down. You think I won't kill you? I'm gonna take this here crossbow and put a nice sharp arrow right through your eyeball and into your goddamn brain. You're not men. You're monsters. All men are monsters. Take what they want and then destroy it all. Take a can of beans. Take a little girl. It's all the fucking same to you.
Where did you get this hat?
The little girl.
You stole it from her.
So what if I did? You stole her from me.
Wait, what?
What the hell are you talking about?
You know what? I changed my mind. I'm putting this arrow right through your balls. Yeah, right through. String them up on that tree. Then I'm gonna head down to that farm and shoot every goddamn person I see.
Put down the crossbow.
I mean,
No,
she's
sir,
not
I
wrong,
needed.
but
I
also...
needed to kill you fuckers.
But
Go
also,
on,
don't bring
boy.
Clem into this.
Tell him what you got in mind for... Oh!
Whoa!
God damn it!
You straight up murdered that woman.
It's true, Clem does need her
That
hat.
crossbow pointed at my forehead.
Well?
It's a clean shot, though. Right through the forehead. That's good shooting right there.
Dude!
What a waste.
So, that's it. We going back?
If they ain't here, I don't know where they are. And it ain't a good idea to go tromping through the woods looking for them. So yeah, we head back. Once they see this, they'll get the message.
I don't... Hey, bud, I don't think she was with the rest of the group. She kind of said she wasn't with the other bandits. Okay.
Come on.
Okay. Okay. Well, I got Clem's hat back. So that's good. I had no part in this. I didn't shoot the lady. Yikes. Right, now we gotta go get
That was a
Clem.
hell of a ride, huh?
It's Clem time.
Danny?
What? You ain't getting soft on them, are ya? Not
Also, hold
after
on a
what
second.
they did to your friend.
I'm gonna
You're
grab a
back.
blanket.
What happened?
Handled it, Mama.
It's Smiley time.
This isn't what Terry would have wanted.
Terry?
My husband. Miss him every day.
Then screw it up for everybody then, why don't you?
Oh, calm
What's
down,
step two?
princess. I'll do it myself.
We get Clem, then what? We get Clem, then what?
What's going on with them?
Dunno. Squabbling looks like. Lot of tension with y'all, huh?
Don't mind them. It's how they are. Each of them wants to be in charge, you know?
Well, it's probably just the hunger talking. We all did a little testing. We'll fix that shortly.
Uh-huh, okay.
And Lee, don't worry your head about them bandits. I'm sorry you've seen more violence than I've
Oh,
thought
step
in
one,
your
Clem's
short
at.
time,
Step two,
but
Clem.
you all
Okay.
are safe here. Don't worry.
I understand.
Think I'll go have a look around.
Don't wander too far. Dinner will be ready before you know it.
Okay.
And thank your friend Koch again for me. She and the kids are in the barn with the cow. That woman is a lifesaver.
Let's go say hi to Katja. Hi, Clem! I love you! Don't shut the barn on me! Probably cheese. Cheese is for supper. It's cheese time. Yeah, David, what's your read on Brenda here?
I got to use her today. My girl here.
You really like
This man.
What's not to like?
Travis.
Just kind of creepy, that's all.
Times like these, a 243 will keep you warmer at night than any lady I ever known.
You guys are pretty out in the sticks here.
Hard to find.
You get many visitors?
Wait,
Not
he's
anymore.
talking to
Bandits,
us.
of course. Used to get these school kids on tours back before the dead time.
How do you run this place with just one cow?
Used to have more.
This place
They
is
get
pretty
hungry,
isolated.
too. Or sick.
Yeah.
Got your doctor
Hard to
friend here.
find.
You guys must trade for a lot of fuel to keep the generators running, right?
People get hungry, and a few loaves of bread fetch a high price. Y'all are luckier on this side of the deal now.
I'm gonna go wait for supper then.
It'll be a good one.
He's like really he's really hammering home this like serial killer vibe, isn't he? Like this is gonna turn into some horrible Texas Chainsaw situation. Gonna have dinner with the family. Mummified grandma's gonna be there. It's gonna be horrible. Ferdy, no. Ferdy, no.
Hey, so what happened at the camp? Did you guys find any more of those guys that hurt Mark?
We found a woman in the woods. She was talking all crazy and had a crossbow. So
No, no, Lee, we have to.
Holy shit. Was she one of those bandits?
No.
I don't know. I think she was trying to tell me something. But then he just went off.
I don't like this, Lee. I still say we should go back to the motor inn where we at least know what to expect.
What were you and Kenny
Okay.
arguing about when I came back from the camp?
This is like the only time
He's
I will
losing it,
ever
Lee.
agree with
He
Lily.
comes over and starts talking about searching the barn and that these people are hiding something.
But you told him to mind his own goddamn business, right? We are guests here. We don't need to be overstaying our welcome more than we already are.
The way I see it, we just need to skip the dinner and get our food to go. But I'm starting to think your friend over there has another agenda.
I'm gonna
okay.
go check things out.
We're
Just
gonna
don't get too nosy.
not hope.
These kinds of people are usually pretty protective of their privacy.
Freya, no. Oh no. Okay, is Kenny... Where is Kenny? Okay, I'm assuming he's probably in the barn as well. Let's go. Big dog.
It's okay, Clementine. You can pet her.
Big dog.
It's okay, go ahead.
Sweet, stupid
Whoa.
dog.
Katja says Mabel could have her baby tonight.
We'll see, Clementine.
Wait, so when they say
What's
she's
this
sick, they just meant she was pregnant?
Said it's called a salt lick. Yeah, but don't lick it. It's gross.
Did you
That
lick
is a big, wide, tall dog.
I don't
Weird
know.
milk dog. Clementine licked it. Clementine licked it. Clementine definitely licked it. The box.
Empty.
Why is it? Why? Why is it empty? What's this? What's this? Yes, I will be looking through all of the stalls. What's this?
Looks like a bunch of old dirty clothes.
And
ooh, smells pretty foul.
And transfusion bags. Bags for blood transfusions. Or potentially just IV stuff, but still.
It's a feeding trough.
No, I need to look at it. It's a feeding trough. No, I'm not gonna go pet the cow. I'm gonna look. I'm nosy. There's nothing in here. There's nothing in that one. Anything cool in this one? Just the hay bale.
In the hay.
Duck,
Just
go
stay close
away.
to your mom for now.
Okay.
Duck, go. Is there anything in this one? Nope, nothing in this one. Okay. Gotcha. I should talk to... No, he's here. Oh, wait, Clem! Hat! Hat! Clem! Clem, hat! Hat!
My hat! You found it!
Don't ask me where I got it.
You said you would.
Listen, did you give your hat to anyone?
No.
Did you see any strangers around the motor inn who might have taken it?
No. Why?
It's probably nothing. Just let me know if you ever see anything like that.
Okay, I will. Hey,
Good job, Clem.
Do you think you'll ever have kids?
I'd like to someday. Maybe a little girl like you.
That's nice. You'd be a good daddy. Well,
Clem, you are my baby
thanks
now.
for finding my hat.
You're welcome, Clem.
Do you want to pet the cow with me?
Nah, but you go on ahead.
That man is side-eyeing me. Where is Kenny? Is Kenny back here? Hey, Kenny, are you behind this door?
Lee, they're hiding something.
Found
behind
Kenny.
This door. I got a quick look. They got boxes of stuff and something metal and sharp.
Don't get paranoid.
It's my job to be paranoid, Lee. I got my whole family on this farm right now. How about you? What about Clem?
I'll protect her no matter what.
I know you will. Look, that guy with Katya, what's his name? He locked it up real tight the second we came in. I definitely heard a noise back there, Lee.
What kind of noise?
My point is, we gotta know for sure. So go find a hammer or something and I'll have this thing off in a second. You back me up in case them farmers come running.
Hang on, think this through. You smashed
Too late.
a lot.
Everything's
Then what
suspicious.
if it turns out you're wrong? You just fucked your chance to get a good meal in those kids you're trying to protect. Use your head, Kenny.
I don't know,
Professor,
Lee.
what'd you have in mind?
Let me have a look at what we're dealing with first.
Melanie. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. And thank you for the bubble. I hope you're having a good time. Thanks for stopping in.
Hey, Lee, you know how to pick a lock, right?
No. Why would you say that?
And a hydrate. We can do that.
You know,
Reminder, everyone in chat, you should also...
You are not saying what I think.
Kenny!
Jesus, man, I'm from Florida. Crazy shit just comes out of my mouth sometimes.
You can't just say that! Reminder for everyone in chat to also take a hydrate.
Instead of breaking the padlock, we can just take off the assembly, have a peek inside.
Thank you, Melanie, for that.
Replace it all again like nothing ever happened.
We appreciate it.
All right, sounds like you got a plan. I'll hang around and keep an eye on that guy with the cow.
Andy,
Shit,
It's horrible.
Whatever.
It's a
Can I
terrible
help you
line.
boys find something?
No.
Just checking out the barn here. Never been to a dairy farm before.
Just don't roam around without me or Danny. The farm can be a dangerous place.
It's a dairy farm, my
the
dude.
bandits.
How bad can it
Sorry
be?
about your friend. Hey,
Yeah,
do me a
where
favor.
is Mark?
Don't fuck around with this door, okay? Just, Mama gets nervous.
Andrew, I need your help again.
No problem. Right away, Doc.
Not zombie cows. No zombie cows. Distract Andy to get him out of the barn.
Hey there, Andy.
Yeah?
You
Have
got a
screwdriver?
screwdriver?
For what?
Never mind.
Wait, no, don't ask that. I hate that they
Can't afford to
changed.
lose our shit to the people in the woods. They come down here every once in a while.
I hate that
raid
they
our
change like
stuff,
where the options are
even with the
sometimes.
fence.
Okay,
Danny
well,
mentioned he needed something.
Did he say what?
Shit, I can't remember now. Sorry.
All right. Be right back, Doc.
I'm not gonna go look at the flowers. I'm gonna do the thing. Kenny. Okay, hold on. Kenny isn't actually gonna help us. Terrible.
Okay, let's do this.
False alarm. I'm back.
Can we... It's true, I do know this. But also... I want to live life dangerously. Ew, gross.
So, how does a woman like yourself run this whole place?
Oh, I managed just fine. Plus, I had my boys to help out. I couldn't do it without them.
Get out of here, Larry. Hey, Lily, do you have a screwdriver? Do you have a screwdriver?
What's
Hey.
going on, Lee? Did something happen?
There may be something going on with that barn.
I'm telling you, Lee. The longer we stay here, the more trouble we're getting ourselves into.
And what exactly do you think I'm supposed to do about it?
If you want to go in there and start rooting through other people's shit,
Oh,
then
no.
get to it. But if it's up to me, we should just take our food and go.
It's
let me
been
ask
3
about...
months. Your dad still treats me like I'm some kind of asshole.
Yeah, well, don't expect that to change. That's just how he is.
Does he treat
Does he treat you
too?
like that?
Look, my dad can be an ass sometimes, I know that. But he's not a bad guy.
No, he's a bad guy.
He's got a lot of pain.
That's a
been
bunch of
through so
excuses.
much.
I don't give a
Lost
shit.
Pretty much everything.
That's unfortunate
And
for
it's
him. He
hardened
doesn't
him,
get to
you
treat
know?
everyone like
Yeah,
like
he's
shit.
bitter and hateful, but that's all just to protect himself and me. All he's
Have
got
you
left in the
considered
world is me.
he could
And
go
that
to
goes both
therapy?
ways. So yeah, he's probably gonna keep treating you like crap, but that's just because he still has one thing left to care about. So
Okay,
don't judge
and?
him. Don't judge me for sticking by him.
Oh.
He's my dad, and I love him.
I feel you, Allie. I mean, he can't go to therapy now, but he coulda.
After what Kenny told me, I'm starting to think they may be
Coulda
trying to
been.
hide something.
You two are just asking for trouble. But if you insist on wandering around, I'd be careful, Lee.
Okay.
I'm gonna go check things out.
Watch
I know she
yourself,
doesn't
Lee.
want to leave the motor in. I'm not gonna ask her about that. Let's go. I mean, this is definitely a situation where we should just kind of like leave. we should just go. But also, since we're here, I found a toolbox. Do you have a screwdriver? Little toolbox. You do have these.
I'm just gonna borrow this for a second.
This is mine now. Oh, wait. Can I... just... casually turn this off?
Guess I'm gonna need a screwdriver for this.
Can I do this?
There you go.
And let me just take this?
That thing is on too tight for my bare hands.
JK, let me use this. Okay, I'm glad he just took it off and didn't, like, break it.
Fucking Danny, where'd he find this piece of shit? Oh, fucking thing through a belt. Damn it, dog. Ah, son of a... Fuck. Oh, this...
He did not say frack. He said fuck. I heard him.
No mail coming in or out these days.
Okay,
At least
Lee.
they don't have to worry about bill collectors anymore.
Okay, Lee. Whatever, buddy. Let's go back through the fence and open up that door. Let's see what's going on. Look at all the kitties. Lovely, wonderful kitties. Alright. Alright. Get back in the barn. Gonna open up the door. Find all the bad things at this place. Let's go. Get it, Lee. Get it, Lee.
Mom, Dad, dinner time! It's dinner time!
Okay,
Hi,
honey,
Nate.
let's get that.
Welcome in, friends.
Dad! Dad! Come on! Let's eat!
Kenny,
You go.
come along, honey. Kenny, come on. Don't make the children wait.
They can go ahead of without us.
Get that thing off.
Also, I get that, Allie. But also, zombie apocalypse. Maybe we just leave him. Maybe we just leave him. Consider. We abandon him and never see Larry ever again. Oh shit! Oh shit!
Boy,
That was a bear
didn't
trap.
You hear the bell? Dinner time.
Please don't call him boy.
Why was there so much blood in there?
Look, we have food here, but Danny and I still gotta do a lot of hunting to keep everyone fed. When we catch something in the woods, we skin it and dress it back there. Mama doesn't like us to make a mess in the house, so you see, nothing to worry about.
Okay. 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 Whoa!
Brenda, you are an angel.
Lee, zoom in.
Excuse the mess. We had to block the back door after Walker got upstairs. Don't worry. That was a while
Right?
ago.
No, I remember
Ain't
just
been
being
back
like
inside since.
Everybody sit
floored
down. I'll
by
get you the
everything that
meal.
happened. Not just like in this episode, but
is
every
a delight.
episode.
I could eat a horse.
Where's Mark?
Now don't you worry about him.
I loved that episode of
Just
Torchwood.
let him rest.
No one is shocked.
Mind if I wash my hands first?
Bathroom's right outside in the hall. And be sure to get under your nails. You've been mucking around in the dirt all day.
Ma'am. Ma'am. Ellie.
Walkers aren't getting through that thing.
That's... Can we... Oh no. Oh, I hate this? Oh, I hate this. It's true. You can let Clem eat dinner.
What do they need so much morphine for?
No, wait! Where are you going? Lee! We're looking at things!
I guess someone needed some first aid recently. Musty as hell. Candles. Smart.
There is all this morphine. What is this?
What is this stuff? Looks like a bunch of medical waste in here.
It's gotta go upstairs very carefully.
Saline. What would dairy farmers need with this kind of stuff? Where's that cord going?
Plug it in. Plug it in. Plug it in.
What the hell?
Hello, light. Can I back out? Don't. Oh shit!
Is that blood?
Time to move. Let's go. They're definitely gonna hear me doing this. This is terrible. Open that door. Open that door. Open that door. What's behind door number 1? Oh shit, it's Mark. Oh shit!
Lee.
Mark doesn't have any legs.
What the hell happened?
I mean, it's true though. Allie, you're right.
What the hell happened to
That
your
is what
legs,
they're
man?
doing though.
Don't eat dinner.
Clementine.
We gotta stop Clem. Please, Lee, I need you to move faster. Clem, no!
It's people.
What?
Yes, Lee. It's all people in here. Sit down.
No,
Your supper's getting
Clementine!
Lee, Jesus, man. Did you find something?
Oh, sit your ass down, Lee. This lady has made you a meal.
Yeah, Lee, what's gotten into you?
He just had a start.
He could use some goddamn manners.
You're eating human meat.
That's crazy.
What the hell?
Ridiculous.
You're scaring the kids, Lee.
Lee, what the hell is wrong with you?
Don't indulge him, Lily. There's always something with this guy.
Mom, I was eating that.
What is going on?
Go upstairs and look. You'll find a guy with both of
It's
his
not
legs
just
hacked off.
a guy, it's
This
Mark!
is a dairy, not a ranch. Think about it.
Oh my god.
It's true.
Everything could have turned out okay for you folks.
He would have died anyway. We gotta think about living.
Settle down, honey. Growing up in rural
Oh,
Georgia,
no.
you're taught not to waste.
Kind of
It's how I was
want Larry
raised
to
and
eat
how
it,
I
but
raised my
also.
boys. Now, you got monsters roaming around that do nothing but eat people.
I mean,
For what?
honestly, cannibalism
To
during a
continue
zombie
to rot
apocalypse,
till
not
they
the
eat some
worst
more.
thing you
We
could be
think We
doing.
can put that meat to better use.
But also,
Lee, that's not a very nice thing to imply.
they're like 3 months into the apocalypse. You can't be
Andy
that
is right.
short on
We
food.
go after folks who were gonna die anyway, one way or another.
Like y'all.
Kenny, get your gun.
Kenny, no!
Nobody's going anywhere.
Oh no. Oh no.
We got lots of use for y'all right here.
Oh no.
What the what? The fucking what?
Put your guns down!
Yeah, it's
We're
like Ali
walking
said
out
earlier.
here.
It's easier to
I don't want to die. Mommy, what did I eat?
Everyone, everything
Duck,
will
you're
be
an idiot.
okay.
Yeah, you gotta eat somebody slowly. They're gonna last longer.
I'll kill you.
I'm gonna fucking kill this man. I mean, it's true. Is it Mark? It's Mark, isn't it? Or is it a walker? I don't remember. It's Mark. No, we're gonna stop him now.
Open the goddamn door! You can't keep us in here! Open up! I will tear you fuckers apart with my bare hands!
Oh, shut up, Larry.
You sick fucking bastards! Open this door, goddammit!
Clementine, come here. Come here, baby. Let me give you a hug.
It was a person. I ate meat from a person. Does that mean I'm gonna turn into...
Clem.
No, Clem, it doesn't work like that.
If he would have stopped us in time...
Come on,
Fuck
Dad.
you!
Now's not the time.
You okay, Clem?
Clementine? They didn't hurt you, did they?
Open up!
Lee, those psychos have my family, and we're stuck in a damn meat locker.
Oh, damn.
Get the fuck out of here!
I'm scared.
Don't be. It's gonna be okay. I'm gonna find us a way out of here.
Are you?
You're worse than the walkers!
Dad, please!
What is this? What is this? Look at the boxes.
Meat.
I think one of my
What
favorite...
kind.
I think one of my favorite parts is coming up. I think one of my favorite parts is coming up.
Pretty sturdy. We could climb up. But there's no way out through the ceiling.
Come on! Try yourself!
This is gonna be great.
Cowards!
I appreciate that you know what I'm talking about, Bree. I mean, we talked about it yesterday or the day before, whenever it was that we talked about it, but...
Let us out now! If you want to live!
Not gonna help.
Pretty heavy.
Think we could heave it through the door?
Nah, door's too solid.
They're not gonna open the door.
Okay,
You
okay.
think a fucking apocalypse gives you the right to chop people
They've got
into
Katya and Duck,
meat?
Lee. Those fuckers have my family.
I know. We're gonna get out of here and find them.
It's gonna be fine.
Dad, this isn't helping.
Your dad's not making things any easier for us.
Open the fucking
Dad,
door!
stop!
God damn it! I'll break that damn door down!
Dad, you can't get... Easy. Dad?
Fuck you, Larry.
No. Dad, come on.
Lily is
Dad!
going to
God,
hate
he stopped
me.
breathing. I think he's had a heart attack.
You think?
He's not dead. Somebody help me.
It's the big one.
He's dead.
He's not dead.
You know what has to happen. Think about it. You saw that poor bastard at the motel? How fast he turned?
What are you saying?
Lily, I'm sorry. I truly am. But in a few minutes, we're gonna be stuck in a locked room with a 6'4", 300-pound, seriously pissed off dead guy.
Fuck you. We can bring him back.
No.
We'll mourn him later. But right now, we have to keep him from coming back.
No! God damn it, Kenny. He's not dead.
Hey, Clementine, do you want to turn around?
Maybe you're right.
No, God damn it. My dad survived worse than this.
I don't think he
Back
has.
at the drugstore when we all thought Duck was bitten. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe we should do the same now.
That was different. Duck wasn't bitten. But come on, we know this guy's not gonna make it. Remember what Ben said. Gotta destroy the brain.
Oh, I know.
Lee, you can't be in the middle on this one.
Kenny,
You gotta
I
have my back this
understand.
time.
I'm ready to
God damn
go.
it, Lee, I need you. Please help me. Come on, Dad. Come on.
Let's go.
You're right, Kenny. Let's get
You
this over.
fucking monsters! Both of you! I don't want to see.
I'm sorry, Lily.
That's okay, Clementine. That's okay, Clementine. You stay over there, baby.
Get off me! Don't do this! No! No! Let go of me!
Lily, we gotta go. Lily, you gotta go. Kind of sad that it's not me doing it, but you know.
God help us.
I'm sorry, Lily, but also he was definitely dead.
Don't you fucking touch me!
I gotta go help Clem.
Clem. You okay?
No.
Lily said he wasn't dead.
Yeah, about that.
He was dead, Clementine.
But what if he wasn't?
No, he was.
I promise.
Oh, my sweet baby.
I know. But you gotta be strong right now. I need you to be strong. Think about something else, something hopeful.
Like what?
Your walkie-talkie.
Walkie-talkie. Those pretend talks with your mom and dad. Don't those make you feel better?
Sometimes.
Right.
We're gonna get out, right? You found a way
Lily,
out?
that's not how CPR works.
I'm working on it.
Hey, Lily.
Lily, I'm sorry.
Don't talk to me, Lee. Don't fucking talk to me.
I finished season 2 and then I stopped.
I know you hate Kenny.
I started season 3, but it was around the time that they pulled season 4 from the store, so I stopped playing. I want to get through all of it at some point, though.
And you've got Clementine. I've got nothing. You've left me with nothing.
Well, Lily, now you're free from Larry's bullshit. So that's something.
Get away.
I just need to...
I told you to get the fuck away!
Okay, alright. I'll go. Hey, Clementine.
I know it was necessary, but I just wish Clem didn't have to witness shit like this. I worry what it's gonna do to her.
It's not great. Yeah, it's not great.
You think maybe we were too hasty?
Only one important thing right now. Getting the fuck out of here. We did what we had to.
Katja and Duck.
What about him?
You don't think the St. John's...
No! They need Katja, remember? She's the whole reason they brought us here.
Sure. And Duck is valuable as a bargaining chip.
We gotta get to them.
Okay. How are we... Oh!
There ought to be an air duct behind this unit. Maybe big enough for one of us to...
I'm definitely less familiar with season 2 than I am with season 1.
Like
I've played season 1 a couple of times,
Does the air conditioner come
and I
off?
only played season 2 once, and that was ages ago.
The multi-tool. Of course they took it. Shit.
Maybe there's something else we could use. I've got a rock.
A rock won't help, but a coin might do the trick. Do you have a coin?
You played season 2 more times than I have.
If we can remove these screws, the AC should come down easily.
And that's a rock fact.
I don't have anything. Okay. What can I take? Hey, Lily.
Why can't you just leave me alone?
Nice.
I'm sorry, Lily.
Do you have a coin on you, Lily?
But if we're gonna get out of here, we need your help. And Larry's. I think I may have found a way out of here, but I need something to remove the screws on the air conditioner. If you had something I could use as a screwdriver, a coin or something.
No.
What about him? Look, I know this is a terrible time for it, but back at the motor inn, Larry mentioned something about keeping coins in his pockets.
In other words, my father's more useful to you dead than alive.
If he was alive,
I mean,
had the key to getting us out of here, do you think he'd keep it to himself?
Yes, he would.
My blessing to loot his corpse?
Your permission.
Do what you have to do.
I'm sorry, Lily. I'm not sorry that Larry's dead, because fuck him.
Boy. Any idea which pocket he keeps his change in?
But,
Fucking vulture.
Lily, listen. Listen.
Here we go. 2 quarters.
Hey!
And a dime.
I mean, look, I asked permission beforehand. Okay? Okay? It could be worse. I could be eating him. Could be like the St. John's.
You got it? Yeah. One more should do it.
But we're not, and we won't. It's fine. Alright, let's go.
There's our way out, Lee. Looks like it'll probably lead right into that back room.
It's too small for us to fit through.
I think you can fit through it. Clementine!
You know you don't have to do this, right?
I know. I just want to go home.
This'll help us get back home.
Okay.
It's that limited edition quarter. They're thick. Okay, yeah, no, we definitely wouldn't have been able to fit through
See
there.
if you can get to the other side of that door and open
I thought it was bigger than it was. Oopsies. Oopsies. Clem, you are making so much noise. Sweet girl. Hey! She did it!
Anyone see you?
No, but there's a man outside.
Lily, we gotta go.
Leave me alone.
Lee, I can see him.
It's not safe in here.
For God's sake, Lee. Didn't even get to say goodbye.
Yeah, well, no one does in a zombie apocalypse. You gotta deal with it.
Stay here. Take care of Lily, okay?
I will.
I love you, Clementine. Are we ready to do a fucking murder? I'm ready to do a murder. Also, this is disgusting. They need to do a better job of cleaning this place
I
up.
told you there was something up with this room. It's a goddamn human slaughterhouse.
Disgusting.
Ugh, I think I'm gonna be sick.
Yeah, it's not great. Take that hay hook. Take that hay hook. You're...
God, what's wrong with these people?
Hi, stars. Aww. My day has been good. It's been nice. We're enjoying some Walking Dead. Get to hang out with my friends. I hope your day's been good. I'm glad I could provide you with some good vibes while people get murdered around us. Not the bonitis. Welcome back to the land of being awake, Emmy. Yeah, I hope you're doing well, Stars. Thank you for the lurk, friend.
So what's the plan?
That dumbass is so caught up in his own rant that we could probably sneak right up on him. Just stick behind me in case anything goes down. When we get to the front, grab his gun.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Stay close.
Let's do this. Again. Do a murder on a man. Lee, I need you to not be standing.
Who wants some? I dare some dead asshole to try to cross my fence tonight.
Sir. Are you gonna take a rest this weekend?
What are you doing outside the barn?
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Just guarding the place like you said.
Quit sitting out in the rain like a damn weirdo. Mama says we can't keep that many folks alive and not expect.
What's he doing out there?
Pick one to keep and kill the rest.
Yeah, pick which one to keep alive.
I'll keep an eye on it. Be ready to act when I say.
See what he's doing now.
Oh, I know, Mabel. This is
Take a
my
look through the
favorite part,
cracks.
too. When I let
I'm
one think they
trying.
can just walk right out,
Oh.
they never even look down.
Ah.
Talk to me.
He's putting bear traps.
This is a game.
See where he is now. Hey,
I think
tell me something.
Kenny, you have to give me more than 2 seconds.
Where the fuck did he go?
I don't know.
Look again. He didn't go past us. See where he is now.
Oh my god, Kenny. Oh, hi! Oh. This is fine. Oh shit, Kenny! Oh! Ah! This is
Where's
great!
my family, asshole? You can't have them. We need the vet.
No!
Can't! Lee, come on!
Just go. I won't be far behind.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Lee, what are you doing?
You understand now, don't you? You can have me. It's how the world works now. Give part of yourself so others can live.
Mark never volunteered to be food!
You gotta keep me alive. If you kill me, the meat gets tainted. You can't eat it.
You're all
We're not eating it.
You ain't gonna kill me. Just like he didn't kill Jolene. You don't have what it takes.
Okay, well, fuck you, actually. You can't dare. Oh no, Clem! Clementine, he dared me. I had to.
I'll keep Clementine safe.
Clementine, he dared me. I had to. I had to do it. The man dared me. I can't go back on a dare. My one weakness. Dares. Honestly, the shit that Clementine has seen. I mean, to be fair, I have been very upfront with her about not being a great guy. Doug? Hi, Doug.
What the hell? Where's that coming from?
A man was eating people, and that's the thing. It's like, I've told Clem that I'm not a great guy, but I've also told her that I only kill bad dudes, and he was kind of a bad dude. Don't get him in the eyeball, Doug. Hi, you goober.
Morse code. You almost
Ben, get out of here.
Oh, sorry about that, but I did get your attention. We heard screams from the barn. What's going on?
Bad things.
These people are fucking crazy.
I knew it. I told you we couldn't trust them.
He was a super bad dude.
What can we do to help?
Larry's dead. They chopped off Mark's legs and tried to feed him to us.
Jesus, that's sick.
They've still got Duck and Katja in the house. And I don't know where the fuck Kenny is.
All right, we're coming in to help.
No. If we storm the house, we'll cause a panic. You two try to find a way around to the back. I'll head to the front.
Okay, let's go.
Come on, this way. Wait, are you sure? Yes. No. Yes.
I love Doug. Ben can get wrecked, but I love Doug. Gonna sneak. We're gonna sneak. We're doing the sneaky sneak.
I'm gonna take the boy, check around.
No, please don't take my boy.
Doing a sneaky sneak.
Settle down. I don't want to hurt y'all.
Right?
Danny, is that you? What's going on out there?
Yeah, it's me.
That was a terrible impression. It's okay. Once we get through this situation, we can all
Don't come in here.
we can all celebrate.
Snooping around, didn't ya?
Celebrate Larry being dead. It's gonna be great. We do love Doug here.
Don't you take another step.
Brenda, come on now. You know you don't want to do this.
Just go away and leave us be.
We're gonna very carefully.
Right there, I mean it.
Think about what you're doing. It doesn't have to end like this.
I'll kill her, Lee.
Oh! Katja, I'm gonna need you to. I'm gonna need you to run in a hot minute, okay, babe?
Let her go, Brenda.
Please, listen to him. I'll do it! Please. I don't want to kill you, Lee!
Then don't!
Please don't make this any worse.
Just stop!
Ah! Not to put the gun down, bitch. I don't want to escalate this. Good. Gotcha. Move. Ah.
Doug, where's Kenny?
I said don't move, asshole! Don't you fucking hurt him!
Oh my God!
Let him go, goddamn!
Okay, well, Brenda's been handled.
That ain't gonna happen. Andy, don't shut up!
Oh!
Andy!
Who the fuck do you people think you are? Look at what you've done!
And what we've done.
Calm down.
Calm down? What for, huh? All we wanted was some goddamn gasoline.
Oh, I'm supposed to do a thing. Oh, God. Oh, that's right. Kenny got fucked. Pointy. That's all I'll say to that. Oh, shit. Oh, no.
Get up. Get the fuck up.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Please! Please! Oh! Willie!
Help!
Willie! Okay, can we be done now? No, Lee, all done. Lee, all done. Lee, all done. Lee, all done. No, we're good. We're good now.
Is that all you got, Lee?
They probably had a spare belt somewhere.
You ain't
But we
shit.
did.
It's over! Fuck you! As soon as Dad and Mama get out here,
Hey, buddy, I got some news for you. It's just...
They're both dead. What did you do? What the fuck did you do?
Protected me and mine?
Don't you dare walk away from me, Lee!
Sorry, bud.
Get back here and finish this, Lee!
Nah, I'm good. Nah, we're just gonna leave.
Get back here and fight me like a man, Lee! Lee!
It says I spared his life, but also, like... No, I didn't. I've left him to a worse fate. It's time to leave. Let's go. Oh, there's Mama! Those are some good choices. I feel like I've done enough in front of Clementine that I don't necessarily want to do more, you know? So I think the first time that I went through, I definitely like punched him to death.
Hey, Lee. I'm sorry for leaving the motor inn unattended.
I never
Right,
thought a laser
exactly,
pointer would be
like-
the thing that saved our lives.
I'm not gonna do it.
I'm glad you showed up when you did.
Well, we gotta stick together.
You did good, Doug.
Were they
and now
really
he's sad
chopping
again.
up people for food?
Yeah.
And Clementine ate some. Oh, it's my fault. I panicked and didn't stop her.
We told her it was people!
Were you guys able to salvage anything good from the dairy?
No.
Not really. St. John's took everything I had before the place got completely overrun with walkers.
Oh, I was able to grab a couple of your things back while Brenda wasn't looking.
Yeah, what's
Doesn't
on this?
work. You have any use for it, Doug?
It's just a basic camcorder. A Save Lots cheapie. Let me check it out. See if I can get it working.
How are you doing?
If I
I'll
ever
be
bust
fine.
into a room
Just
and
not as
scream,
young
it's
as I used to be.
people,
Hun, go on
Stop
ahead and give me
eating.
and Lee a second.
immediately.
There's gonna be fallout.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
For killing Lily's dad? Yeah, I would imagine so.
What do you think?
I think he got shot in the side,
I'm with you, Kenny. We'll do what has to be done.
but he's definitely
Damn
not
right.
doing great.
Listen, that RV back at the motor inn is just about ready. I've changed my mind. I want you to come with us when we leave.
Yeah?
Hell yeah. We're a team, man, me and you. By taking out Larry before he turned, you saved all of us in that meat locker. And that saved my family, too. Yeah.
I'm a cool kid
I'd say
sometimes.
you earned it.
Some bad joke, some delayed punchline
Lee,
to
you
a
have to kill
to a
those
setup
men.
that nobody heard. I'm sorry.
sorry
I'm
you had to see
sorry.
that, but I only did it to protect us.
Because they tried to hurt us?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Dad. What's that noise?
Sounds like a car. Oh, God. Not more strangers.
Ben, you haven't even been here for this shit. Don't act like you just went through that harrowing event. Also, what is the time? Okay. I've only been streaming for 2 hours, but I think this is like the end of the episode. Maybe we start the next one.
Don't shoot! We're here to help!
Hello? Hello?
Oh, crap.
I was
Baby,
like,
you gotta
this
see
this episode is definitely one that
It's a
like a
shitload of
lot of
food
people
and
end up
supplies back
remembering
here.
because it's pretty memorable. Yeah, I don't
This
remember what the
food
next one
could
is.
Save all of us. Not all of us.
Lily, I'm sorry.
Look,
It's a
you don't know
very
if these
good
people are
one.
dead.
If they come back, then we're just monsters who came out of the woods and ruined their lives.
This stuff isn't ours.
Dad, whose car is it?
Don't worry about that, Duck. It's ours now.
It's abandoned.
No,
but
same
don't
Fruity.
worry.
What if it's not? Well, what if it's not abandoned? What if it is someone's?
What if we just sit here for a couple hours? I'm gonna side with
right.
Clem because I love
We
Clem.
shouldn't take this.
What? Did you get some meal back there the rest of us missed out on? We have to take this stuff.
We've done enough damage already.
What do you mean by that?
Come on, Kenny. Between this and the meat locker, you know what it means.
Whoa, wait, Lee,
Fine.
what?
Suit yourself. The rest of us are taking this stuff. Okay, what have we got in here? Look, there's more food in that box.
They have antibiotics. What else do they have?
Any electronics? Radios? Batteries?
Here. Got it?
Yeah, I got it. Lee, there's a hoodie in here. Could probably fit Clementine.
She's good. Thanks.
Whatever, man. It's gonna get cold out eventually.
Here,
Yeah, we'll
Clem.
deal with it
Want
then.
some batteries?
What the fuck, Doug?
Hey, Lee. You know that camcorder? I got it working. You might want to see this.
What's on the Oh! Oh, it's what's her face? Jolene or whatever.
Jake, Bart, Linda, and all y'all fucking sickos from the save lots. They call y'all bandits, but you're fucking rapists. Oh, darling baby, look at you. Look at you. Oh, you need a mama, sweetheart. We won't let them bandits get you, will we? No.
Okay,
Where's your hat?
I don't know. Can you help me find it?
That's not Clem's mom.
When did you lose it?
I had it a couple days ago.
It's not Clem's mom. Can confirm.
You're safe. Sitting there acting like things are the way they used to be. The dead don't kill their own. It's the living you gotta be afraid of. The people I used to call friends. The people who took... Don't worry, little girl. Bandits got their eye on that dairy. As long as they keep getting food from them, you'll be safe. I promise.
Just a crazy lady. Yeah, no, not Clem's mother. Just some random lady who's like, I'm gonna steal that baby.
Making is done, pal. Ain't nothing left. We gotta get the hell out of here. Lee, I need you to back me up on this.
Is this all you got?
I told you this town is tapped. Do you have any idea what we had to do to get all that? We need to leave. Duck was asking about the farm last night. Not much phases him. It's starting to add up.
I do remember some of this. Oh
Get him out of
no.
all this madness. Lily's not doing so good, huh?
Well, we killed her dad.
We did kill her dad. Maybe people out there got things lined up better. Better than us, at least. Could be folks who have all this shit figured out.
Do people get mad when they're scared?
I remember parts of this episode. One of my favorite characters
You're so
is here.
full of bullshit.
I'm the one keeping this group going.
We can sort
I'm
all this
so
out,
excited.
alright? We can sort this out.
I'm
I'll
so
tell you what we
excited.
need to sort out. We can't let one person fuck this up for everyone else.
Okay. We've only been streaming for 2 hours. This is usually when I end, though. 8 o'clock is usually when I end. Okay, we'll start it. We'll start, but we'll take a short break because we have been streaming for 2 hours. No. Main menu, please. Yes. Okay. So we'll probably only stream for like another hour or so. But we will keep streaming. How many? Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. There are 5 episodes. So let's, like I said, take a very short break. I need to fill up on some water and use the restroom. Take this time to stretch and grab a snack. Also get more water if you need more water. Do all that good stuff. We'll be back in a minute. I need to reset up words on stream, but I'll get that set up for y'all. And we'll reconvene in a few minutes. Okay, I am back. Think. Yes. I have walked, I have gotten water, I have used the restroom. Are we ready to start the next episode? Let's go! Let's go! Hold on a second. I don't think this one is particularly long. I don't think it's any longer than the other ones, but we'll see. We'll see if we finish this today. We might, depending, might do this on Friday. I'm gonna look at indie games, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm glad you got
the
food.
gates open! We've got wounded!
I want to know why you thought bringing more mouths to feed was a good idea.
Word's getting out.
Hey, remember everything that just happened 2 hours ago?
Well, here isn't doing us any good. You should think
Let's
about
go.
coming with us, you and Clem.
No one's trying to cut you out of anything.
Those look like the people who raided my camp.
Fuck you, you fucking fuck.
Did you tell anyone out there who you were, or that you were tied to this place?
Hey, Carly.
That's right. I know who you are, and I know you're a killer.
Well, look at this. Now everyone who knows who we are is dead.
Come on! We know this guy's not gonna make it.
No!
Sounds like a car. There's a shitload of food and supplies back here.
You're right. We shouldn't take this.
The rest of us are taking this stuff.
Don't worry, little girl. Bandits got their eye on that dairy. As long as they keep getting
No, the
food from
recaps
them,
were extremely helpful when they were slowly releasing all of the episodes. It's just very funny looking at it now where it's like we are kind of just playing them like back to back essentially. I love it. I love it when games give me recaps, especially ones that are episodic. Because like with Scarlet Hollow has recaps, which is so good, especially since they come out like every 8 months or so. But yeah, let's go. We're at the halfway point for season 1. Let's go. Ooh, hiccups. Wow, this this place has gone to shit.
Looks like this is our lucky day.
Yeah, maybe. They tend to take us by surprise.
Yeah, well, the
How?
less I
They're
see,
so
the
slow.
happier I am.
Hello, Lamia. She keeps like walking under my feet and moving the blanket that's in my lap. I need her to stop. Let's go. Let's
Lee,
go.
where do you come down on staying or going?
You mean packing up the motel and getting in the RV?
Yeah, we've been talking about it, but have you made up your mind yet?
We should go.
We should go. The motel's run its course, and it's not safe.
You're damn right it has. We pile into the RV and don't pull over till we see water. And if Lily's dead set on staying, then, well, that's the way it goes.
When did this happen? When did this plane crash here?
Okay, just like last time. Over the rig, into the pharmacy, and scrape together whatever supplies are left.
We didn't leave much in there.
Hey, we're out of options. Something's better than nothing.
If you've left things behind, you've done a bad job of scavenging.
Shit.
You okay?
The ladder's come loose. I'm not sure how many more trips she's got in her.
I'm not sure how many more trips we've got in us.
No kidding.
Climb the bad ladder.
like she's had it.
Leave, please.
I'll find another way up.
Not the multiple trolleys. Can I push this? Can we push this?
Lily's not doing so good, huh?
Car, please.
Well, we killed her dad.
We did kill her dad.
I don't know what this is accomplishing. I'm just doing it because I was told to do it. Am I pulling this? No, we're pulling the... Okay, no, I understand. Is that all you have to say about that, bud? Okay, can you maybe get around? Did we make sure it was in neutral?
Your girl
Doesn't
still
matter.
upset with me for taking stuff out of that car last week?
What do you think?
Christ, I've heard your opinion. What's done is done.
Should probably turn the winch off.
Duck was asking about that guy at Herschel's farm last night.
Really? I wasn't sure it fazed him.
Of course it did.
What'd he say?
He just woke up in the middle of the night, screaming his head off. He thinks he killed Herschel's son.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry.
Fact of the matter is, we did.
No? Kenny, no?
Sure you're up for this.
Lee, I'm fine. I've got this. Give me your hand.
I tried to save the kid.
Shit!
I think the zombies got to Sean.
Jesus. Are you okay?
I'm fine. Shit. I'm sorry, pal. I thought it'd be healed up better.
It's
Lucky
it's
it
been a
wasn't any
week.
worse. You could have...
Oh, you're an idiot.
Help me! Somebody help me!
Oh my god!
What the hell is that? A walker?
Walkers don't scream, do they?
Jesus, I don't think so.
It's a girl. She's gonna get us killed.
No shit. Actually...
Fuck. We gotta shoot her. Put her out of this misery.
They don't know we're here.
What do you mean?
I mean, we leave her alive, and she draws them all to her, buying us time.
I mean, he's not wrong.
We're always worrying about the ones we can't see. She stays alive and brings them all out of their holes.
I mean, he's not wrong. Nope, we're gonna leave.
Good.
She did do it so bad. Like, it's always very funny to me in these situations, especially like this, where it's like, these zombies don't run. You could just walk by them. You could walk with purpose past them. It's... Yeah, just walk with
Should
purpose.
be good to clear this place out.
That's
We
what
ain't
I'm
got all day.
saying.
Get everything you can out of these racks.
God, her screaming is
Don't
obnoxious.
forget underneath the counter this time. I'll clear down here and then we gotta go.
Why is she still... Oh my god. Ah, grab. Throw it all in the box and take the box with you. Oh shit.
She's gone. There's not much time now.
Yeah, that's fine. Grab. Grab it. Grab. Go. Food. Food. God, they left. No, what are you doing, Lee?
I think that's everything.
That girl didn't die for nothing then. Up and over.
They left so much behind.
We're still clear. Let's hustle.
They've done such a bad job of clearing this place out. Oh God! We're getting smushed. We're getting smushed. Kenny, what are you doing? Kenny, help! Help, Kenny!
Friends.
Nope. This is fine. Smush.
Now, let's fucking get out.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Oh no. Okay, just go. Please. I need you to aim properly. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, that's not... I mean, he's still just gonna be stuck there. We gotta leave.
Let's go, pal.
We just gotta go. Lee, it's time to go. Come on, pal. Please, buddy. Oh my goodness. Also, they should probably collect those arrows. Oh, Clem.
You're back.
Hi,
Ken
I'm
found
here.
some stickers in a drawer, and I put them on my walkie.
Hey, Sweet Pea. That's neat. I'll find you in a minute.
I love you, Clementine.
Looks like we got the kid on watch again.
What'd you get?
We might as well leave a sign out that says the men are gone. Come and rape our women and children.
Kenny, please.
So, what did you get?
Just what was left.
Which was a lot, actually. Take a look. We're fine, by the way.
Kenny,
Nice
you're
work.
not helping.
This'll keep us going. If we carry on like this, we'll get through the winter here.
The winter? We'll freeze our asses off here.
Because piling into an RV with you two, after what you did to my dad, is so appealing.
Okay,
Why
your dad
wouldn't
was
it be?
dead.
You know I'll do what it takes to keep everyone safe.
We're already safe.
Take a look at the wall, Lily. That's not graffiti. Those are bullet holes. And we got enough arrow shafts sticking out of it to dry our laundry.
We do whatever is best for the kids. Doesn't that make sense?
It's suicide out there.
We'll die in here.
You're right. You could see someone sleeping and kill one of us.
So,
Lily.
You two are, having a disagreement?
Cool it, Doug.
Don't boss people around.
I'm sorry. Somebody needs to make executive decisions for the group, though. And I don't think you're capable anymore.
We're strongest together. It can't be you versus us, Lily.
Larry
We're sorry for
definitely
what
was
happened
not
to your dad,
sleeping.
but we're in this together now.
What about the food situation? What about protection? What about when this place falls? Somebody's got to be thinking about this shit.
How has this not been working?
He's just digging
we
up
have
right
everything
there.
we need.
Because of me, Lily.
That's BS, Kenny. And you know
What about
it.
medicine?
What about medicine?
Oh God, I don't
All
know.
the protection we need.
And when 15 bandits hop over that wall in the middle of the night?
They won't be going back over.
Everything
That's
that happens to us is another
not what I
excuse for you
meant.
to pull this crap about leaving. All I want is a week of peace, of not hearing it.
Do you know how we got these supplies? We got lucky and let a girl get eaten out there.
What?
Conscious
Some girl
face.
came screaming out of an alley. She had dead hanging all over her. She gave us enough time to get everything we could out of the drugstore.
And you just let her suffer like what? Like bait? God, what is happening?
You weren't out there.
She was dead anyway. It made the most sense in the moment.
Lee's right. We've been putting our lives on the line doing these runs into the city. You wouldn't believe the shit we see.
We all appreciate it, Ken.
Look, Macon and its people aren't savable. It's not a town. It's full of walkers, and the people who were left are dying and wandering out onto the streets. It's hell on earth, and it's coming this way.
It's
We
not
got
going to be easier out on the road!
How would you know?
What I know? I know you're not above murder. I know somebody has been stealing our supplies. That's right, stealing. And I know the list of people I can trust here gets smaller every day.
Lily.
Now everybody get out.
Macon, Georgia. Yeah. I have nothing to say.
She's right about one thing. None of this is getting any easier.
This is the relative
Rough
cold.
day, I guess.
Yep, I've just been calling them days lately.
How much
I don't know
further
what
north
it is, but
is
it's probably
Macon
worth talking to Lily
from
about things going missing. Ever since
Florida?
her dad died, she's been a live wire.
Because Kenny's from
Now,
Florida.
if she's paranoid. That's a bad mix.
I don't know where Macon is in Georgia. Ben fucking Paul.
Hey, Ben.
What's up, Lee?
Have you seen anything weird on the watch? Is there anybody out there up to anything?
Nope. Really quiet.
Really?
Yeah, totally. Which is
Fairly
good.
Central. So yeah, not that cold.
Did you ever come down here to
Oh,
make
hiccups.
much?
I didn't have much reason to. My parents would let me take the car into the city on the weekend. But what's in Macon? It's kind of a waste of time compared to Atlanta.
I grew up in Macon.
Oh, I didn't mean to say it's crappy or anything.
Yeah, okay, Ben.
It's super nice. I mean, not now, but I bet it was. Is.
It's
Talk to you
literally
later,
right in
Ben.
the middle.
Bye.
It's gonna be fine, Ben. Hey, gotcha.
Hey, you two. How you doing?
We're okay.
Just having a little spat.
We all carry guns now, and I don't like it.
It's the way it's gotta be.
I know, but I'm not getting used to it. I'm sorry. How are you, Lee?
You guys, trust everyone here?
More or less. I obviously have my problems with Lily, but I don't distrust her.
Yeah, we can't turn on each other any more than we have.
About the guns.
About the guns.
Don't you start.
I just wanted to say, Kat, it's probably good they make you uncomfortable.
Thank you, Lee.
But we need them. There's no doubt about that. You need to try harder with Lily. You guys gotta straighten this out.
I don't know how straight we can get it given all that's happened.
So what then?
Time will come we'll have to do what's best for our families. And that's what we'll do.
Yeah, fair
I'll
enough.
talk to you later.
Where is Clementine?
Hey, Clementine.
Hey, Lee.
What's that you working on, Clem?
It's called a leaf rubbing. My teacher, Miss Moore, showed us how to do them when we went to the botanical garden once. See, it's the same. Kind of.
Now, that's really something.
I'll make one for you, too.
Please do. Please
Do you like it here?
I don't like it here.
Do you want to leave?
Where are we going?
Somewhere else.
I don't know. Maybe if I knew where?
Yeah, that'd be a good thing to know. I'll talk to you later, Clem.
It's a terrible conversation, Lee. Buddy. Where's Doug? Wait, Doug was at the front, wasn't he? Should probably check in with Lily, though.
I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize.
Did you come in here to give me hell or to coddle me?
I wanted to follow up on what you said about stolen supplies.
Do you know what's going on?
I don't. I just heard you mention it.
And you came in here to confess?
I'm not stealing shit. I came in here to help.
There's a traitor. Somebody, one of us, out there. He or she or they have been taking things.
For real? Who? What do you got?
Yes, for real. And I don't have shit. I just know.
Lily, that's not
The count's
great.
off and it's the good stuff. Antibiotics, oxy, fuck, anything with opium in it.
I see the count, and it's fine.
I keep my own. That one's getting messed with. I'm a fucking mess right now, but I'm not stupid. I know what happens if I start a witch hunt.
So you want me to start one?
I want you to poke around.
Okay.
What's there to go on?
I found this tossed into the garbage.
Huh.
We don't toss out equipment, we fix it. You'd only try to get rid of a flashlight if you were using it when you shouldn't.
Okay, I'll poke around a little bit.
It's not just a few things. I mean, if it's like
If you don't find anything,
medicine and
I'm
stuff.
just going to assume it's you.
Lily, what the fuck?
A mystery.
Duck, go away.
Jesus, Duck.
I'm sorry. I heard you guys talking.
I forgot about this
You
bit.
need to
I
unhear
forgot
all
about
of
this
that.
bit.
Can I help?
No!
What did I just say?
You're the Grace Detective, and I can be Dick Grayson, your ward. That's Robin.
I know who it is. You can't help. And if you tell anybody,
It was
you
definitely
will be
Duck.
trouble.
100% Duck.
Did you hear what I just said?
Out of here, Duck.
The part about not helping? You can't help.
I will live in the shadows.
Duck! Please! No! Looks like Duck is gonna help you anyways. Thanks, game. Fucking Duck. Doug, I wanted to talk to you before
Hey,
I
Doug.
did all this, but I
Hiya.
forgot that this was a thing. What are you
What are
working
you
on,
working
buddy?
I'm just
Right,
trying
Doug
to
won't
focus on the
remember
wall.
this.
Anything I'd like to contribute needs batteries or tools I just don't have. I'm tearing down this furniture to patch up the wall. If we go on like this, we'll have half the Travelier piled up out here before we know it.
Goodness.
The wall's important.
I guess. I feel worthless on watch because I'm not wild about guns, and
It's true.
I just wish I was more
Any and
helpful.
all of the Robins don't have parents. It's true. Do
Did
you feel safe here, buddy?
here?
You pal.
Safety's
Hey,
always been a
friend.
bit of an elusive thing for me.
I mean at the motel, as opposed to finding somewhere new.
I think if we can get whoever's out there to leave us alone, this is a good place to be. And you know, they sort of stopped attacking. Maybe they forgot about us.
Or maybe someone convinced them we're worth more alive.
Doug. Doug. I
Do
think
you
I
know
remember who it
anything about
is.
this flashlight?
Well, I can tell
Ooh,
you...
Wait. I know you know everything about this flashlight. I'm asking if you know how
I think
it
I
got
remember
busted.
who's
Lily found it in the dumpster.
stealing stuff.
Oh, no, I don't. Well, I'll keep my eye out for some suitable parts, though. That'll give me something useful to do.
What do you think about Lily?
Fruity and ice same brain?
Doug.
I don't know. I guess I'm sad. Nobody deserves to lose their parent like that.
You don't think that would make her delusional, do you?
I think it could make you anything. Nothing good.
I'll catch you later, Doug.
Hold on a second. I gotta check. That's who I think it is too, Fruity. I think that's who I remember it being. Very good. Broken glass. Okay, but before we do that, can I show it to some folks? Like Clementine. Hey, Clem. Hey, Clem.
Hey, Clementine.
Haley,
You didn't accidentally break a flashlight, did you?
no. Did Duck say I did?
No. Did Duck break the flashlight?
I don't think so. He's just always blaming me for stuff.
Like what?
Putting a bug on his pillow?
Did you do that?
Yes.
you, Clementine. Good for you, Clementine.
The flashlight was broken.
Whoa!
Was it you?
No.
You're not in trouble if it was.
We're just
I know
zooming
you
into
get
frame.
nervous and maybe you went out to go to the bathroom, broke it, got word and tossed it.
What's with the third degree? I didn't break any flashlight.
Okay then.
Okay.
Do you guys know anything about this broken flashlight?
Fuck. We don't got many of those.
Yeah, it's a problem. The glass and the bulb are all busted out.
I saw some broken glass over by the ice machine. I meant to clean it up before the kids hurt themselves on it. I forgot, though.
Yeah, I've already seen that, Katya. I know that it's there. I think that's everyone I need to show it to. I was like, definitely had a moment of like, where is everyone? And then I remember we lost multiple people last time. Whoopsies.
Chalk.
Pink.
Duck.
Duck.
A clue.
Maybe.
What do you think it is?
I think it's a sign that you need to go.
Help.
I'm curious.
You don't say.
Maybe it's a sign.
Larry got
Could be.
smushed.
It's
Mark
pink
lost
chalk,
his
which is
legs.
Weird.
Okay, back to investigating.
Okay, bye. But I want to look over here some more. Go ask Clementine. Hey, Clem, what happened to the pink chalk? Ooh, excuse me. Clementine, Clementine, Clementine.
Hey, Clementine.
Mark appeared out of thin air and got his legs eaten.
You have any pink chalk?
No, it's gone somewhere. Do you want blue?
No, it's okay.
Lee,
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I found something.
What is it?
I found this piece of pink chalk and a scuff of it over by the gate.
Oh, damn.
Really?
Totally. I was combing the scene for clues
Yeah,
and...
Duck, I got it. Good job.
No, we don't want Ben Paul.
You didn't break the flashlight, did you, Duck?
No, Mom and Dad won't let me touch any of their stuff. Lily neither.
That's probably for the best.
I love how long the message in the corner stayed. Just to remind me. I hate Duck. I hate Duck so much. I like Duck and then I hate Duck and then I
suppose
just
I should go out there and look around. You stay
I
here
can't
this
with
time.
Duck.
Seriously.
If I high five him, it'll encourage him to keep not listening to me. Is the thing. The thing is, if I high five him, he will continue to not listen. I'm sorry.
Those bandits gave us hell, but they've been quiet for days now.
Goodness gracious. Hey! There's a thing in there. I'm glad you like them. Definitely got a very distinctive giggle. It fine. Hey,
You
Lily.
haven't come up with anything, have you?
No, Lily,
came up
you
with
were kind of
this.
right.
It's got a bunch of meds in it. It was in a grate on the outside wall.
Oh,
and
no.
there's a sign on the other one.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, we line everybody up. Everybody.
I don't
Somebody's
remember.
killing us. Stealing from that supply is the same as slipping into your room at night and cutting your throat while you sleep. You die. What is the difference? What if Clementine gets sick and we don't have what we need?
Lily, listen, I'm agreeing. It's definitely
hell?
not great, and it's definitely hurting us. But
Who the fuck is that?
also,
They've got our people out there.
oh no.
Fucking around.
What do we do?
Oh,
Lily.
shit! They're gonna start kicking in doors any second.
Lily, what the hell are you...
Stall him.
What?
Just keep him talking.
Okay.
Do whatever it takes to stop him pulling the trigger.
You made the biggest mistake of your life.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Shit.
I'm remembering.
Enough of this bullshit. Drew, stop putting your boot to these doors. Yeah. Hold it, asshole.
Take it easy.
That man's got a shirt that says hard ass.
We have more supplies. We can keep the deal going.
Too late, shithead. We ain't giving second chances.
It was a mix-up. We'll make it worth your while.
I'm listening.
What will it take to reach a deal?
About twice as much as you've been giving us.
You got it. Done.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose we ought to hash out some terms then.
I don't like no hash.
Man, shut up, or I'll... Christ!
Oh, shit!
Get him, Lily. Oh, Doug. No, Doug! Doug! Oh, God. Okay, it's fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. It's fine. This is fine. Oh, no. This is not fine. Actually. Ugh, you should have shot him.
Get out of here!
No shit!
Get those bastards! Cover our people and get them to the RV!
Oh, God. Shit.
Go around, shit for brains. He's back there.
Now! Get over here!
Okay,
Hurry!
this is fine.
Man, you saved our asses.
Get inside!
Oh, Clementine!
Help!
Katja, hang on!
Not Katja, Clementine! Oh.
Where is he? He's hiding behind that van. Get your asses around behind.
This is fine. We're doing great, actually.
Katja, hurry! Come on! Clint, get inside.
It's okay,
the
Clementine,
RV.
you're
It's
good.
gonna be okay. Go!
Oh! Oh, shit!
Oh, Christ!
She bonked her head! She done
Lily,
did
get in the
get
RV.
bonked!
Screw her! Let her stay!
No, Lily, come on!
Walkers!
Shit. Kenny, hurry up with that thing!
Right side! Walkers on the right! Leave left! The right bells!
Oh, God! Ah! No! Okay, to be fair, we've only died twice since we started playing, so I think we're doing pretty okay.
Shit. Kenny, hurry up with that thing!
I panicked. It's
Right
fine.
side. Walkers on the right!
The aiming is very weird in this.
Leave the bells! Left side! Left!
Doug, I'm already over here.
Right bells!
Please.
Doug?
This is fine.
Solenoid!
Don't hit it with a hammer!
Last chance, get down here!
Lily, come on. Lily, come on. Come on. Come on, Lily. Good job, Lily. We got everyone out!
Jesus, are you okay?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. I'm sorry.
Calm down. We need to figure out why this happened.
Nobody died. We're okay, right? Katja, you're okay?
We just lost everything.
But we have our health.
Cat's head is split open.
I'm fine.
Somebody in here caused this.
Settle down back there. The
Oh,
bandits have been our
God.
number for weeks.
This is different. Somebody was working with them. Whoever it was slipping them our meds. They didn't get their last package, so they attacked.
Calm down back there. That's nuts.
Lee found a bag of supplies hidden outside the wall.
It's true.
It's true.
So,
Oh!
Ben, I think we need to talk.
Whoa, what? Lily, let's think about this logically, no?
Logically, the new guy, who could have easily been a plant, I think that's pretty logical, Doug.
You think I'd do anything to hurt you guys?
Don't play dumb. Were you hoping they'd eventually kill us all and you could join them?
Why Ben? What makes you think it was him?
He's always so eager to see what supplies we found.
I thought
came into
that
this
was
crew
a
stranger
question
from the
for
woods.
Ben.
It's pretty cut and dry to me.
I came into this crew as a stranger.
So you're saying you did it?
Nobody did anything.
I know I don't get wrapped up in the politics around here, but we
Yeah,
really
I bet
need to think before
why
we start
Ben
stringing somebody
is
up.
what I meant.
I appreciate your concern, but we have all the evidence we need.
You have evidence?
No, not here. But Lee found the meds. We found an entire signaling system.
Signaling system?
No!
Guys,
We need to act now.
We have to act now. I know it sounds nuts, but we have a traitor here. Do you guys get that? Someone who puts their insidious shit above everyone else.
Thank you, Lee.
Just let me out of the car. I'll go. I didn't
Okay,
do it,
bye.
but I'll go.
Good. That sounds great.
Lily, look at him.
Fuck. Jesus, I didn't.
Look me in the eyes and tell me you didn't have anything
The
to do with
slow lean.
Shit!
What's going on up there?
I hit something. We gotta stop.
Well, that's fine.
We can deal with this now then.
It's just stuck under the wheels.
Kenny, is it safe?
Should be.
Everybody out.
Lily.
Out.
Not everyone needs to get out, Lily. Just kick Ben out and then we'll move on. Thank you, Allie. Just poke it a few times in the eyeball and then pull him out from under the wheels.
Kenny, the RV has some surface damage, but there's a walker trapped underneath.
Watch out. That's the biting end.
Damn it. Everyone keep your eyes peeled.
You know what? We shouldn't just kick you out. We should hear what everybody
I think you
thinks.
should chill out. Please, look, it wasn't me. Please stop accusing me.
I'm really sorry you're upset, Ben. Just tell us you did it.
I think he probably did it.
Lee, come on.
Okay, that's the two of us. Kenny?
I don't know. Fuck. Just stop, would you?
It's a zombie.
Your
Is
vote
it still a
counts for
person?
you and Katja.
We don't need all these votes. What do I have to do for you to trust me? I'll do anything. I'll do watches for months.
Huh, the hell you will.
I'll get more food, more medicine, anything.
You're making it worse on yourself.
I just don't want to be on my own.
You
Too
should've thought
bad.
of
Get
that.
out of here, Ben.
Do we need any more evidence than this?
I mean, this isn't really
This
evidence,
isn't
but like,
any way to treat one of
I just
us.
I've had
hate
enough out of you,
Ben.
okay, Doug?
Even if it's not
what's it
Ben,
gonna
I
be?
just want Ben
Give me a
gone.
damn minute.
Ben, you have until Kenny kills that walker to tell me it was you.
No!
Ben!
Lily.
This is about trust, and I've never trusted you.
Tell her. Just do it, Ben.
Tell her what? She'll kick me out of the group.
We won't. We'll understand.
Tell me.
He's
Now.
whiny and annoying and absolutely
Let's
useless.
just get back in
That's
the RV.
not happening.
I can't handle this.
There. I got him. Now, what the fuck's the problem? Ben!
No! Oh! And he also gets Doug killed. Ben's the fucking worst.
Drop it.
Holy fuck.
Kenny, what's happening?
Keep Duck away from the windows. Jesus Christ. Get in. We're leaving this crazy bitch.
I didn't mean to. It wasn't supposed to be him.
Just get in. We'll figure out what to
No,
do.
I'm blaming Ben. I
It's a
hate
bad
Ben
idea,
so
Lee.
much.
She's a murderer, for shit's sake.
I'm a murderer? You've had Lee with you this whole time.
What are you talking about?
He didn't tell you. He killed someone before all of this. He was a convicted murderer.
Is that true, Lee?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Were you ever gonna get around to telling me that? You got a little girl with you. To hell with it.
I don't have
I
anything
don't want to hear
left.
it from either of you. Just get in.
This is fine. Doug.
Lee, a word,
I don't think
please?
that's how it went down for me the last time I played. Hold on, before I...
Katja needs you for something.
Yeah, but I want to check in with you, Clementine. Okay.
What's up?
She also shot Doug for me. Like, kicked him onto the ground and, like, shot him. There was no accidental knots. Oh.
Fuck. Happened during the raid.
He's gonna turn.
We don't know that.
Gotcha.
No, we do.
What do we really know? None of us have been bitten. We don't know what the time frame is for a child. We know nothing.
Gotcha.
I'm going to monitor him and focus on the wound and see if his condition changes.
No, it was not an accident of mine the first time. Like, she, like, pushed him down and shot him point blank. Made a choice.
Us that type of luxury.
Anyway, if you could tell Clementine, we would appreciate it.
Also, we need to pull over and get Duck out. We gotta kill Duck. Hi, Clementine. Just roll the window down and throw him out.
He got bit by a walker
Yeah.
trying to escape the motel.
Yeah, do it.
I don't feel good.
That's okay, Clementine.
What about Doug?
Gone, but won't come back.
Because he was shot in the head.
Yeah.
That's right. It's horrible.
Yeah, it is.
I've tried to stay a little more quiet. There are some that I just can't.
I'm glad I have you.
Me too. I heard you outside my treehouse that day and thought about dropping a hammer on your head. I didn't.
You get a little, oh god, her eyeballs. Oh god, her eyeballs. You get a little sneak peek of what's about to come. Also, we need to pull the RV over. Duck is gonna turn. Oh, he twitching. Oh, he twitching.
Fuck! What happened?
Clementine!
Get off of me!
Her little growls, though. Ow, ow, ow,
Got something up ahead.
Yeah, 5-second preview. You know before anyone else. You good? Hey, Allie.
Road
Hey, Allie. I know what you're trying to say. Can you smell
Allie
toast?
gotta deal with this.
Not a train. You can just drive around, buddy.
Is there any way to get around it?
Doesn't look like it. On foot, maybe. Can't really afford to do that now.
No, you can. There was
This
space.
Seems like a safe area. All this brush will stop anything from creeping up on us.
And I'd like everyone out of the RV except her. I don't want folks trapped in there with her.
Kenny.
Why don't you and I go look around?
Because I don't want to be
everyone
around
else
you,
relax.
Ben.
Clem, stay close to Kenny and Kat, okay?
Lee, if you come across anything to drink, if there's a dining car or something, I think Duck's a bit dehydrated.
I think Duck's gonna turn into a fucking zombie, Katja.
What? You think there might be something dangerous inside an abandoned locomotive? Hadn't crossed my mind.
I am very much of the mind of just squishing Duck's head as quickly as we squished Larry's, honestly. Real talk. Equal opportunity squishing.
Was it you?
Not this again.
Was it?
No!
Okay then.
Good, I'm glad Ben won't forget that.
Happy you stayed with us all this time?
Yeah.
Really?
It's with you guys are dead. I would have died out there in the woods. Just like my classmates.
You think this is better?
Yeah, of course.
What would you
Okay.
have done with Lily?
I don't know. Left her? I've never seen anybody kill someone like that before.
Yeah, you've seen a bunch of other stuff.
Accidentally?
Yeah, but not like that.
Okay. Can we get into the car? Let's go. Boxcar time. Boxcar time. Shoes.
Whoa.
Somebody's been living in here.
Yeah, man. Shit. Think they're gone?
I hope so, but this looks recently used. Be on the lookout and have your guard up.
Should we maybe just go? Maybe we should just go. Can I look at the map?
Board.
Water. I don't want to, like... I don't want to steal the stuff. We have sort of set the path that, like, we're not gonna steal from places that look like people have existed there, you know?
Nothing.
Zombie. Is there anything else I can look at in here? No. Okay, that's fine. This one? Tools! Oh. I can only take one. Well, Lee, you do have two hands. I want this one though. This seems more useful. More purposes. More porpoise. Anything cool in here? No. Lee says. Okay. Well, what's in this one? I will be opening every single one of these. I think that's the one that I just opened? Maybe not. That's fine. Let's go in here.
Shit.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he's
got one.
Dead,
Walker,
dead.
Sitting in the chair. We got him.
Pretty sure he's dead, though. Like... Yeah, his head was already smashed.
Suppose we gotta look him over.
Yeah.
This ankle, though? Oh, goodness. We just gonna stare?
I don't think this guy came back.
Christ. That
You
light
just
is blinking.
bludgeoned
Push it.
a dead dude.
Push it?
Why not?
Are you fucking
Ben!
serious?
Here, look.
Ben!
It's just the brakes.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
This fucker works?
Seems like it.
I'll be damned. How the hell do we get it moving?
I don't know. Ask Mr. Amtrak over here.
No clue.
Well, let's look around. Maybe it goes somewhere we'd
Okay.
like to be. Ben, if you could keep an eye on the girls and Duck, I'd appreciate it. I'm gonna make sense of these controls. Man, this could be exactly what we need.
Mama.
Shit, this is it. Instructions on starting the engine.
But they're ripped.
Pages are gone. I can kind of see the indentations from the
You know what we could do? Clem taught us. Ew.
Ew.
Ew. Hey Kenny.
A bunch of maps about Georgia's cities. Nothing about the train.
Okay. Kenny, do you have a pencil?
I have no idea what to do with these.
Pencil.
Hey,
Kenny.
Ken.
What's up?
You want to talk about Duck? I'm really sorry, Kenny. Nobody deserves this.
There's nothing to talk about. You heard Cat. He could be fine.
He's
We
not.
Probably shouldn't ignore it.
Nobody's ignoring nothing. I'm not worried. You shouldn't be either.
Hope it's all right I chose to keep Lily with us. Abandoning someone on the side of the road is the same as murder.
Turning over a new leaf, huh?
I'm just doing what I can.
It's fine for now, but we have to deal with it eventually.
I'll
Okay,
get back
let's
to it.
just go.
Me
Let's
too.
just go. Clementine has a pencil, right? Hey, Clementine. Let's see what you got. Up on down, Lee. Where is everyone? My baby.
Hey, Clem.
What are you going to do with Lily?
There's nothing to do that would even begin to fit the crime.
We could lock her away forever.
I don't know about that one, hon.
She killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's not great. That's for sure. Okay, but
There's a
Clementine.
notepad on the train. Do you have any pencils or anything?
I need your pencil.
No, I wish. Maybe in the RV. What do you need it for?
There used to be something written on the notepad that I need to know about.
Well, if you're not using it, I'd take it. I'm out of paper, and there's all sorts of new leaves around here.
Precious baby. You can have it when I'm done, okay? Also, Katja, we should check in with her. Hey, you ready to kill your son yet?
How's Duck?
I don't know. Tired. Which could mean a lot of things, right?
Yeah. His body's probably fighting whatever's in it.
Exactly.
Katja, I'm sorry, but like, we gotta do a
Has
murder on your
Clementine said
kid.
anything to you about Doug or Duck or anything? I'm worried about it.
No. That little girl is a puzzle.
Yeah, she is.
Poor Doug. God, where did yesterday go?
In the past.
I don't know.
You were standing right there. Are you doing okay?
No.
I was. It was awful. One of the worst things I've seen yet.
I'm sorry you and... Oh my god, Clementine had to see that.
Yeah, everyone's always worried about Duck seeing shit, but nobody
I
worries
couldn't
about getting, like,
imagine.
Clementine out of
I
there.
spent some time in Belgium.
Where your family's from?
Yes. Even further away now.
Have you heard anything out of Lily in there?
Not a peep.
I don't like that.
She's probably in shock. She did a monstrous thing.
It was an accident!
Let me know if anything changes here.
I mean, she didn't kill the person that she thought she was gonna kill.
He's put his mind to figuring out the train.
What about you?
Same thing, sort of. Found some instructions, but I can't read them.
Oh. Well, I'm sure someone can help you.
Shall we find the pencil? And
We
then
found a note
call it here?
that we think might have had some starter directions on it, but the page is missing.
Well, I'm sure you guys will figure it out.
Have you heard or seen anything out here?
No sign of whatever lives in the train.
Keep it down. I don't want you scaring the kids.
Okay, Ben is useless. Understood. We can touch base with Lily too, I guess. I see a pencil! Right there! Gib!
I could have killed you. I had you while you were rummaging around in the front there. I know you did what you did for a reason, and part of me understands. But the other part sees you with your back turned to me and knows I could have killed you.
Lily!
I need to go.
No! No!
Holy shit! She's stealing the RV!
Lily!
Well...
Come back here, you crazy bitch!
Well...
Fuck! Stop!
It looks like we really do gotta just stick with this train then. This is our home now!
Let's focus on the train.
Just gonna move on!
Well, we're fucked if we don't figure out how this thing works. Can't spend the night out here.
Oh! Duck just glitched. It's the zombie virus setting in.
You know. We need to get to the city, the coast.
How's that gonna fix Duck? No, Fruity. Fruity, I know you don't mean it. Why am I stuck? I can't move. Oh, there we go. That was terrifying. I don't want Ben. I don't want Ben. I don't want him. Can I take this map?
A map of where the train goes. I think these tracks might lead to the coast. Route 27, Savannah. That's where Kenny's got us headed.
Perfect. It's just what we wanted. All right. Let's call it here, I guess. We'll get into the other... into the train. But I should be able to save? Oh, wait, I can't. Where's our little save icon? That's the real question.
This in the boxcar back there.
Whoa, is this what it looks like?
I think so.
This hoss will take us right to Savannah. 100 tons of steel. Put 1,000 walkers between us and the ocean, and we don't have to give a shit. I can't believe it.
Unless another train is in the way.
What about Duck?
What about him?
We can't act like nothing happened to him.
We can't act like he's dead either.
No, we can.
Fair enough.
No, we
How to
can.
get this thing started. There's got to be some sort of manual or something.
I don't know about that.
That's the spirit.
I would like to know when the last time it saved was. Okay, but when was the last autosave game? Consider telling me when the last autosave was.
Perfect.
You can read it now?
Yeah, should be able to just follow the steps to get the engine on.
Sounds good.
This means a whole bunch of nothing to me. That's fine. Let's go ahead and we'll just exit out. I'm gonna boot it back up though to see where it stops us. Or where it picks up. Can we skip this?
Holy shit.
I do appreciate that there's a
Stealing the
recap
RV.
between, like, even during the episodes and everything. Hey. 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 I do wish I could skip it, though.
You crazy bitch!
I wish there was a skip option.
Stop!
Do I have to do all that over again? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We will do more of this either, like I said, maybe on Friday, but it might not be until Monday. We'll see what I'm feeling. But we did complete a whole episode, which is exciting. Yeah. That's all I got for tonight, though. Shall we find a friend to go say hello to? We're gonna go say hi to Smiley. I've decided. Smiley is, like everyone, playing some Elden Ring. But it's not often that we get to raid into a Smiley stream. So, we have decided. No one gets to suggest anything today. Sorry, y'all. Anyway. It's raid time. We're gonna go hang out with Smiley Fusion. Thank you everyone for being here and hanging out and just being cool. Just being wonderful, lovely folks. Yeah. We are yawning. What's your suggestion, Fruity? What's your suggestion? Which streamer would you like to suggest? But yeah, we will be back on Friday. Like I said, I don't know if we'll do indie games or do some more Walking Dead. We might do a little bit of both. That's a possibility. But yeah, until then, go say hi to our friend. Have a good rest of your time zone. Take care of your dang selves. I love y'all. And we'll see you next time.